Chapter 1001. Once in a lifetime, one man shall reign supreme over the ages. His arrogant words reverberated through the clouds, shocking everyone. All the cultivators stared at the white-robed figure as if they were looking at an immortal king who had shocked the past and present. Their gazes were somewhat dull. Even the immortals were shocked. He really is an anomaly. Gong Yu could not help but shake her head. One man shall reign supreme over the ages. Chu Kuangren's strength and boldness are indeed rare. This person is not a child of destiny, but his boldness and strength are even more amazing than a child of destiny. He really is an anomaly. The immortals looked at Chu Kuangren and secretly praised him. Meanwhile, on the stage, the immortal seeds looked at Chu Kuangren, who was so majestic and domineering that they had never seen before. Without further ado, the immortal seeds attacked. The first to strike was the crown prince of the great Yuan god dynasty, Yuan Su. He slashed out with the sword in his hand, and origin energy surged out. It seemed to have transformed into a magnificent army that shook the world with a brilliant might. The strength of a child of destiny was naturally extraordinary. Not to mention that Yuan Su was a reincarnated immortal. The strength of that sword attack was at the level of a top-notch half-immortal, or even close to the level of an immortal. However, Chu Kuangren remained unmoved as he slashed the void with his sword finger. The sword attack that was like a magnificent army could not shake Kuangren of eternity. One sword attack broke through the army. Come, show me what you've got. With one hand behind his back, Chu Kuangren pointed his sword at the ground with his other hand. His stance was indomitable as he looked down on the world. Go! Divine Flame Dao, incinerate the heavens and earth. Lin Yan attacked, and the power of several divine flames swept out. Each of them contained enough power to kill a false immortal. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon young master also activated the origin energy within his body. With a palm attack, the Crimson Dragon's shadow charged towards Chu Kuangren with a terrifying flame that was not much weaker than the divine flames. The divine flames and dragon's shadows attacked Chu Kuangren from both sides. Chu Kuangren chuckled and swiped his sword finger in the air. A purple sword ray shot out from the tip of his finger and split into two in the air, blasting the divine flames and the dragon silhouettes into smithereens. The sword ray's power did not decrease as it continued towards Yuan Su and Lin Yan. Boom! Bang! With two explosions, the two children of destiny were pushed back 100 meters. So powerful. No matter how strong a person is, there should be a limit. Continue. After the attacks of the two children of destiny failed, the attacks of the other immortal seeds arrived. All sorts of powerful immortal spells were unleashed. Blue Sea Art. Boundless Buddha Light. Thousand-Year Howling Blade. Saber techniques, sword techniques, palm chi, fist rays, and all sorts of other techniques that were imbued with dazzling celestial radiance were launched towards Chu Kuangren. Even immortals would find it hard to defend against such violent energy. However, Chu Kuangren merely chuckled. He did not seem to care at all as he focused his sword fingers. In the void, sword rays condensed and blossomed into purple lotuses. The purple lotus soared into the sky. Thousands of immortal technique attacks bombarded it, causing the void to explode in succession. Terrifying waves of air surged and swept out for thousands of miles. Did it work? No. Stop joking around. He's Chu Kuangren we're talking about. He won't be defeated that easily. Continue preparing to attack. An immortal seed said loudly. Everyone's eyes narrowed when they heard this. That was right. They were now facing the immortal-defying Kuangren of all ages. How could he be defeated so easily? Suddenly, a burst of Emperor's chi gushed out and dispersed the dust. A white-robed figure then appeared. However, Chu Kuangren was still standing proudly on the spot. His white robe was spotless, and he was unscathed. Everyone's eyes widened when they saw that. They knew that they would not be able to defeat Chu Kuangren in this round of attacks, but he was unscathed. Was this not too much? Were they really immortal seeds? even real immortals would not be this insane. I suddenly feel like this is a very unfair battle. At that moment, Chu Kuangren suddenly spoke. He looked at the crowd and said, "It's too much for you to defeat or injure me." Everyone's expression darkened. What did he mean? Was he looking down on them? Was he going to mock them now? How about this, one step? Chu Kuangren raised a finger and said, "If you can make me move one step, I'll consider it your win. I don't want this immortal weapon anymore." He stomped his foot on the arena, and the immense force caused the arena to tremble. His foot sank a foot into the ground, forming a footprint. Everyone understood what Chu Kuangren meant. If they could make him move away from that footprint, they would consider it his loss. The crowd fell silent. In the next moment, an indescribable rage burned in their hearts, causing their eyes to turn bloodshot, and they were enraged. Are you kidding me? We'll win if you move one step. Chu Kuangren, you're too arrogant. Not only will we make you move, but we'll also defeat you. D***, what do you think we are? The immortal seeds were furious. Especially the rulers of the immortal seeds. Their faces were flushed red, and they glared at Chu Kuangren as if they were about to spit fire. The immortal seeds were proud, especially the rulers of the immortal seeds. Chu Kuangren's words were undoubtedly an insult to them, an insult that they had never experienced before. No matter how much they looked down on others, there should be a limit, right? What was this? Did he really think that they were a bunch of ants? Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufang, who were not far away, could not help but feel fearful in the face of the immortal seed's wrath. A group of angry top-notch immortal seeds was terrifying. They could even unleash combat strength that exceeded their current cultivation level. Mr. Chu, you're too bold. Actually, I'm a little angry too. Gu Lufang scratched his head and said. Chu Kuangren had caused even his own people to lose their composure. One could only imagine how furious the immortal seeds were when they faced Chu Kuangren. However, Chu Kuangren, the culprit of all this, did not care at all. He hooked his finger at the crowd and said, "Come." It was a frivolous gesture and a casual tone. That one word completely ignited the immortal seed's anger. Chu Kuangren, I'll make you regret this. Go. Use everything you've learned to defeat him. At that moment, all the immortal seeds let go of their grudges and worked together like never before, just to defeat Chu Kuangren in front of them. The immortal seeds wielded their weapons and used everything they had learned to attack Chu Kuangren without holding back. Dazzling immortal technique lights, powerful origin energy fluctuations, and even immortal weapons were used. The immortal seeds used everything they had. Sneak attacks, frontal attacks, luring the enemy, bewitching illusions, joint attacks, poison. The immortal seeds used almost every method they could think of. But, it was useless. Chu Kuangren stood on the ground and moved his sword fingers. Every move he made was exquisite, and every move he made was filled with invincible divine power. Water and fire could not enter his body, and swords could not touch him. All kinds of origin energy were blocked by his thousand lotus sword intent. As for illusory attacks, they were like mayflies trying to shake a tree. They could not shake his Taoist core and soul at all. Flawless. He's perfect. Flawless. The immortals outside the arena were shocked to see Chu Kuangren easily neutralize all kinds of attacks with just a wave of his hand. Is he playing? If he wants to defeat everyone, he can do it effortlessly. He's playing. He wants to see what kind of power the immortal seeds, especially the kings and children of destiny, can unleash. Gong Yu took a deep breath and said calmly. The immortals were shocked. How can there be such immortal seeds? Everyone couldn't help but have this question in their hearts. Chapter 1002. Far away, in the void. Chu Kuangren had a strange expression on his face when he sensed the yin and evil qi coming from the Golden Mountain Temple. Oh, this energy. Did I miss something just now? Interesting. He pondered for a while but did not turn back. He was about to reach the Divine Flame Church. As for that and evil thing, he could just kill it if he encountered it in the future. It was not a big deal. At this moment, in the Divine Flame Church, the Divine Flame Church's leader had already learned about Chu Kuangren's destruction of the Sage City and the Golden Mountain Temple. He looked worried. If I knew Chu Kuangren was this strong, I wouldn't have provoked him in the first place. Now, I'm in big trouble. The Divine Flame Church's leader said bitterly. In front of him, Ling Yan took a deep breath with a face full of dissatisfaction. Ever since he returned from Penglai Island, he had been cultivating hard, wanting to catch up to Chu Kuangren. However, before he could improve much, he heard about Chu Kuangren destroying the allied army of the Great Orthodoxies. While he was shocked, he was also extremely dissatisfied. He was the chosen one. He had the immortal realm's will and cultivated the divine flame Tao, yet he was always overshadowed by Chu Kuangren. Now, whenever the word Sky Pride was mentioned, the first person that came to mind was Chu Kuangren. As for him and the others, they were nothing more than foils. Lin Yan, take this with you. At that moment, the Divine Flame Church's leader took out a three-legged bronze cauldron. The bronze cauldron was ancient, and it was engraved with mysterious runes that gave off an unfathomable feeling. What is this? For some reason, Ling Yan felt a sense of resonance when he saw the cauldron. It was as if this item belonged to him. This is an item that has been passed down from generation to generation in the Divine Flame Church. Rumor has it that this item contains some kind of secret. Unfortunately, none of the previous leaders of the Divine Flame Church have been able to uncover this secret. Now, I shall hand this item over to you. Leave the Divine Flame Church immediately. If you can uncover the secret within this cauldron, you may have a chance to defeat Chu Kuangren and rebuild the Divine Flame Church. Upon hearing that, Ling Yan took the bronze cauldron with a determined look in his eyes. Don't worry, leader. As the chosen one, I, Ling Yan, am blessed with great fortune. One day, I will avenge all of you. After saying that, he turned around and left without looking back. Chu Kuangren, just you wait. I, Lin Yan, am not weaker than you. The Divine Flame Sect Master shook his head as he watched Lin Yan leave. He wasn't really hoping that Lin Yan could rebuild the Divine Flame Sect. He could tell that Lin Yan was a heartless person. It was impossible for him to have any feelings for the Divine Flame Ming cult. The reason why Chu Kuangren allowed him to leave with the copper cauldron was very simple. He hoped that he would cause trouble for Chu Kuangren in the future. Chu Kuangren, oh Chu Kuangren, the battle of the heavenly will is not over yet. The battle between you, the anomaly, and the Son of Destiny has just begun. Will you have the last laugh? The Divine Flame cult leader murmured. Suddenly, an extremely terrifying pressure erupted from outside the Divine Flame Ming cult. It covered the sky and earth and swept in all directions. The Divine Flame cult master's expression changed. They're here. Divine Flame, Ming cult's headquarters. Countless cultivators gathered and stared at the white-robed figure that walked out from the void. Their eyes were filled with uncontrollable fear. Coming, coming. Chu Kuangren is here. Swoosh, a ray of fire that contained immortal primary energy swept out from the headquarters and arrived before Chu Kuangren in the blink of an eye. Oh. Chu Kuangren narrowed his eyes, focused his sword finger, and slashed at the ray of fire. With a bang, sparks flew everywhere. A person walked out from the ray of fire. It was the Divine Flame Cult Master. His cultivation level was the same as Qi Guang's, both of them were in the 9th grade immortal realm. Chu Kuangren, if you want to destroy the Divine Flame Ming cult, you'll have to step over my dead body first. The Divine Flame Cult Master said coldly. He clenched his fist and punched at a mountain in the distance. The mountain suddenly exploded, and golden flames soared into the sky, burning like a torch. Between the heavens and the earth, a large amount of flame surged wildly. Ignite my divine flame, fight! The Divine Flame Cult Master let out a long roar as the surrounding flame surged towards him and entered his body, causing his aura to skyrocket. Looks like this is your trump card. Chu Kuangren said calmly. With a wave of his sleeve, a light purple guqin appeared before him. It was the immortal weapon, the 9 firmament ring. Let the 8 celestial demonic cords be your funeral. Bring it on. The divine flame cult master snorted. Boom. The divine flame burned and swept towards Chu Kuangren from all directions. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, stood still and plucked the guqin strings. With a clang, the first movement of the 8 celestial demonic chords, boundless expanse of heaven and earth, was played. The guqin music swept across and shattered the divine flames that filled the sky. Its power even spread to the ground below. One by one, the divine flame Ming cult disciples were killed by the guqin music. Not far away, Sword Crown was amazed at the sight. Master's guqin music is truly terrifying. He had heard about how Chu Kuangren single-handedly destroyed the allied army of the orthodoxies, but seeing it with his own eyes was better than hearing about it. This power shocked him to the core. At the same time, he felt a sense of urgency. His master's strength was so shocking. If he did not improve, how was he going to help his master in the future? Looks like I'll have to find some time to go into closed-door meditation when I return. Sword Crown murmured. Although he had once again lost to Sword Crown, he did not come out empty-handed. After this battle, he had reached the threshold of the Earth Immortal Realm. In addition, with Cai's death, he had completely cut off his inner emotions. With no more shackles, breaking through to the Earth Immortal Realm was almost guaranteed. Clang, 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 Chu Kuangren's guqin music echoed in all directions. The guqin music was like thunder, one after another. The divine flame cult master could not fight against it at all. Even if he sacrificed everything he had, he would still be defeated. Double reverberation of heaven and earth. The 7th movement of the 8 celestial demonic chords rang out. The terrifying sound waves were like a tidal wave that turned the entire divine flame cult's headquarters upside down. Countless disciples died. The divine flame cult master was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. His immortal body exploded. Our leader is dead. One of the cultivators said in shock. Run. It's a demon. He's a demon. One by one, the cultivators began to flee in panic. However, Sword Crown was watching from afar. With a flick of his sword finger, a sky full of sword chi poured out. Chu Kuangren saw that and did not care. Not long after, the divine flame cult was destroyed. Chu Kuangren looked into the distance and pondered for a while. The other orthodoxies that attacked him were the Divine Dragon Island and the Honorable Demon Court. However, these two orthodoxies originated from the immortal ancient era. Their resources were not something an immortal orthodoxy like the Divine Flame cult could compare to. Chu Kuangren even suspected that they had a heavenly immortal as their leader. A heavenly immortal was a powerful Taoist. With Chu Kuangren's current strength, he still had a long way to go against such a person. More importantly, the effect of the 3 days ascension pill is about to wear off. I should return to the academy and break through to become an immortal first. Chu Kuangren murmured. As he spoke, his immortal essence quickly receded like a tidal wave. Beside him, Sword Crown was a little surprised. Then, he came to a realization. It seems that Master has used some kind of technique to break through to the immortal realm. Meanwhile, in the immortal realm, many people were watching Chu Kuangren's actions. The rapidly dissipating immortal essence also caught their attention. It seems that Chu Kuangren has yet to become an immortal. He must have used some kind of secret technique or consumed some kind of treasure to temporarily break through to become an immortal. Chapter 1003. The news of the destruction of the Sword Burial Sea, Holy City, Golden Mountain Temple, and Divine Flame Ming cult quickly spread throughout the Qinglan immortal world. In an instant, Chu Kuangren's infamous name shook the entire immortal realm. It was not an immortal orthodoxy. Instead, there were 4 immortal orthodoxies. In just 3 short days, Chu Kuangren had destroyed 4 immortal-grade orthodoxies one after another. This matter had shocked countless people. Too cruel, too cruel. For immortal grade orthodoxies are gone just like that. I can't believe Chu Kuangren could actually do it. This guy is truly a maniac. In the future, no matter who I provoke, I won't provoke this person. The entire immortal realm trembled at the mention of Chu Kuangren's name. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren, who had stirred up so much trouble, had returned to the 100 Academy to prepare for his breakthrough into the immortal realm. Jian Guan also went into secluded cultivation to break through to the Earth's celestial stage. Lan Yu and the little fox were also cultivating on their own. Time flew by. It had been a year since Chu Kuangren annihilated the 3 great immortal orthodoxies. During this time, Chu Kuangren had been in closed-door meditation. Clearly, becoming an immortal was more difficult than he had imagined. Perhaps this was because his origin was different from ordinary people. During the 1 year that Chu Kuangren was in closed-door meditation, the outside world had undergone many changes as many things happened. For example, the great Yuan God dynasty's son of destiny, Yuan Su, had caught the eye of the immortal ancient Tao sect's heavenly punishment sacred sect and joined them, becoming one of their Taoists. Another example was the son of destiny, Lin Yan. After the divine flame Ming cult was destroyed, he trained in various places and relied on his outstanding courage and luck to quickly rise to power. There was also a rumor that Lin Yan had learned an exquisite alchemy technique from somewhere. With this exquisite alchemy Tao, no matter where he went, he was treated as a distinguished guest. There was also Yan Honghua and Lan Yu who were famous in the immortal world. They were known as 2 of the 4 beauties of Qinglan. Recently, there was another big piece of news. Divine Dragon Island's son of destiny, the Golden Dragon Young Master, was the first to overcome the 3 calamities and 9 tribulations and become an immortal. This news could be said to have caused quite a stir. Although the Golden Dragon Young Master of the Divine Dragon Island didn't venture out much, one could imagine his strength. The young master of the Divine Dragon Island's Golden Dragon bloodline. At the very least, it should be a king of immortal seeds. Furthermore, he was the son of destiny. Just how powerful was his battle prowess after breaking through to become an immortal? Quite a number of people even compared him to Chu Kuangren, whose name had shaken the immortal realm a year ago. They wanted to see who was more outstanding between the 2. Some said that it was Chu Kuangren. After all, he had slain dozens of immortals, and his combat strength had been witnessed by the entire immortal realm. Some said it was the Golden Dragon Young Master. The reason was that Chu Kuangren had forcefully ascended to the immortal realm through some means. He did not even go through the 3 disasters and 9 tribulations, so he was not an immortal. The Golden Dragon Young Master was a genuine immortal. For a time, they argued endlessly. Both sides said that they were right, and both sides said that they were right. Neither side could convince the other, and until today, there was no conclusion. After the young master of the Golden Dragon clan became an immortal, another piece of shocking news spread and caused an uproar in the entire Qinglan immortal world. That was, Divine Dragon Island was preparing to form a marriage alliance with Mount Wudong. One of the 2 parties involved in the marriage was the Golden Dragon Young Master, who had recently become famous in the immortal world. He was the first of the known children of destiny to ascend to immortality. The other was a phoenix lady from Mount Wudong. The marriage alliance between the 2 most powerful beasts caused a sensation that was no less than Chu Kuangren's battle back then. There were too many things involved in this matter. In Mount Wudong. I'm not getting married. I'm not getting married. A young lady was protesting against the 2 mountain chieftains of Mount Wudong. The 2 mountain chieftains were a man and a woman. They were a pair of Taoist companions, and they were also the 2 most powerful beings in Mount Wudong. Phoenix Hung, my surname is Chu. The young lady said firmly. The handsome mountain chieftain frowned, and a hint of displeasure flashed across his eyes. You're a godly phoenix, so your surname should be Phoenix. My surname is Chu. Chu Hong still did not change her mind. Alright, Chu Hong, this is a serious matter. That Golden Dragon Young Master is the most outstanding dragon among the younger generation of the Divine Dragon Island, and he's also a child of destiny. Rumor has it that he's about to evolve into a pure-blooded dragon, and you happen to be a pure-blooded godly phoenix. Marrying him will only bring you benefits. Beside her, the lady in luxurious robes, Mountain Chieftain Huang, advised. I'm not getting married. I said I'm not getting married. That's not up to you. Mountain Chieftain Feng said coldly. You guys, Chu Hong was furious, but there was nothing she could do. In the end, her figure flashed, and she turned into a stream of light that flew into the distance, wanting to leave Mount Wudong. However, before she could fly far, a fiery red barrier of light appeared in the sky and intercepted her. It's useless. The entire Mount Wudong is isolated by the leaf fire barrier. Without my permission, you won't be able to leave. Mountain Chieftain Feng said calmly. Even if you lock me up here, I will definitely not marry that golden dragon young master. Chu Hong will bring you back to Mount Wudong and help you awaken the pure-blooded godly phoenix bloodline. We'll let you be the phoenix lady. Now, we're just asking you to do something for Mount Wudong. Aren't you willing? Mountain Chieftain Feng said coldly. I'm very grateful for what you've done for me. I'm also willing to contribute to Mount Wudong, but not this time. Chu Hong said. She had never even seen that golden dragon young master before. Wanting her to marry him was worse than killing her. You. Mountain Chieftain Feng was furious. Husband, let me say it, Mountain Chieftain Feng said. She looked at Chu Hong and said, I've already invited the golden dragon young master to Mount Wudong. How about this, you can spend some time with him. If you're really not suitable, we'll talk about it then. No matter what, I won't marry him. Chu Hong took a deep breath and turned to leave. Beside her, Mountain Chieftain Feng saw this and a cold look flashed across her eyes. She said, in the end, it's not a godly phoenix that grew up in Mount Wudong. It can't be raised well. In short, it's imperative to unite with Divine Dragon Island by marriage. Husband, are we really going to do this? Mountain Chieftain Feng said helplessly. Divine Dragon Island has developed rapidly in the past 10,000 years. Outstanding dragon sons have appeared one after another. Vaguely, Mount Wudong has been suppressed by them. Now, another son of destiny has appeared. It can be said that the heavens are blessing the dragon clan. Mountain Chieftain Feng sighed. There's also the Supreme Demon Court. Under the leadership of that demon lord, it has a vague tendency to unify the demon clan. Don't forget, they captured Qing Feng some time ago. What does this mean? It means that they've been plotting against Mount Wudong for a long time. Mount Wudong is currently lacking in manpower. If we don't unite with Divine Dragon Island through marriage, it's only a matter of time before we get annexed by the Supreme Demon Court. Mountain Chieftain Feng still had lingering fears when she heard that. Fortunately, Qing Feng had Chu Kuangren's help to return safely. Moreover, he even awakened the Green Phoenix bloodline. This is a blessing in disguise. But this Chu Kuangren has also killed one of our phoenix sons. Mountain Chieftain Feng snorted coldly. The Green Phoenix has the ability to foresee things. Qing Feng said that Mount Wudong's turning point lies with Chu Hong. Are you really going to marry her off? Don't forget, Qing Feng said that Chu Hong's turning point is coincidentally the time for the Divine Dragon Island to unite with Mount Wudong through marriage. In my opinion, the turning point is for Chu Hong to marry the Golden Dragon young master. When that time comes, we can gather the strength of Divine Dragon Island and Mount Wudong to help the Golden Dragon young master become the son of destiny. Mountain Chieftain Feng said confidently. Chapter 1004. On the peak of the mountain. A group of immortals and immortal seeds were approaching the praying mat. However, the praying mat was far too harsh on one's Dao heart. Even an immortal like Gong Yu could not get within 100 feet of the praying mat. Many immortals were already drenched in sweat and sprawled on the ground. Some of the immortal seeds almost fainted. It's too difficult. It's really too difficult. Looks like we have no way of obtaining this praying mat. An immortal shook his head in disappointment. He was one of the strongest immortals here, but even he couldn't get within 5,000 feet of the prayer mat. Presently, he felt that every single step he took was a heavy blow to his Tao heart, and if he were to continue, then his Tao heart would probably collapse. If that really happened, then his losses would outweigh his gains. Looks like I can only stop here. Gong Yu shook her head. Even if it was her, she wouldn't be able to continue. She stared at the praying mat as disappointment and unwillingness flashed through her eyes. Sigh, this is the will of the heavens. This item is not something that I can possess. Tap, tap, at this moment, a series of footsteps suddenly sounded. A white-robed figure stepped onto the peak of the mountain and walked towards the praying mat. This person was dressed in white, and his footsteps were light as if he was under no pressure at all. That person was Chu Kuangren. It's him. Wait, why doesn't he feel any pressure? Ling Yan, the Saber King, and the other immortal seeds stared at Chu Kuangren in horror. They could not even move an inch. However, Chu Kuangren did not seem to feel any pressure at all. What's going on? Yuan Su stared at Chu Kuangren in disbelief as he walked past him. As a reincarnated immortal, his Taoist core was in no way inferior to Gong Yu's. Although he had suffered a blow from Chu Kuangren earlier, he was no weaker than the other immortals. Hence, he had left the other immortal seeds far behind him. Originally, he was a little proud. However, compared to Chu Kuangren, his Tao heart was almost not worth mentioning. At the thought of this, Primordial Void's Tao heart trembled. The power that was supporting his Tao heart suddenly increased, directly pressing him to the ground. However, Chu Kuangren could not care less about it. Who are you? Yuan Su was lying on the ground. She muttered as she stared at Chu Kuangren's back. Not just an immortal seed. The immortals were stunned as well. After Chu Kuangren passed the immortal seeds, he began to pass the immortals one by one. When he passed by the teachers of the academy, he stopped for a while. He nodded slightly at the confused gentlemen and greeted them. Then, he continued walking forward. Light footsteps. It was like taking a leisurely stroll in the courtyard. Until he passed by Gong Yu. He became the person closest to the praying mat. Asterisk hiss, asterisk immortal seed. The immortals sucked in sharp breaths. This? How is this possible? His Tao heart actually surpassed all of us. Did he use some kind of trick? Cheating? This is a test aimed at one's Tao heart. How can one cheat? A young immortal seed. How could he have such a Tao heart? No one knew. Before he entered the immortal world, did Chu Kuangren overcome a demonic barrier? Since then, his Tao heart could no longer be shaken. His Tao heart had been elevated to an unimaginably powerful realm. Was this praying mat a test of one's Tao heart? Very strong. Even an immortal like Gong Yu, who had experienced the vicissitudes of life, could not pass it, but he could. His Tao heart. It was unbreakable and unshakable. Mr. 13 is really capable of doing the impossible. Mr. First exclaimed. The other teachers and students agreed too. At that time, Chu Kuangren was already 100 meters away from the praying mat. The power that tested one's Tao heart was more than 10 times stronger. However, Chu Kuangren did not stop walking towards the praying mat. My Tao heart is as firm as a rock. In this world, is there anything that can move people? Chu Kuangren murmured. As he approached the praying mat, countless illusions gradually appeared in front of him. The empire was destroyed, the firmament star civilization was destroyed, the people and things that he treasured were constantly disappearing in front of him. How despicable! Chu Kuangren was still unmoved by these things. Then, an incomparably glorious palace appeared in front of him. Countless immortals stood in front of the palace. Greetings, Your Majesty. These immortals knelt before him, as if thousands of immortals had come to pay their respects. A dazzling golden throne appeared before him, and it was suffused with boundless temptation. It was as if he could become the supreme ruler of the immortal realm, the ruler of heaven and earth, the ruler of heaven and earth if he sat on it. However, Chu Kuangren only took a glance at it before he lifted his foot and stepped on the throne. Ruler of heaven and earth? Ha, how tempting. Boom. With a stomp of his foot, the throne collapsed with a loud bang. The countless immortals in front of him also dissipated like smoke. Unfortunately, as the ruler of heaven and earth, I prefer to take it myself instead of relying on an illusion to give it to me, Chu Kuangren said. He continued to walk forward. At that moment, the sky and earth suddenly turned dark. One more step and you'll die. In the darkness, a majestic voice sounded as if it came from all directions, making it impossible to tell where it came from. Interesting, but I like to live from death. Chu Kuangren continued to walk forward. In an instant, surges of sword chi flew out from the darkness, piercing through his limbs, and an intense pain rushed into his mind. At that moment, whether it was an illusion or reality, it seemed to have been confused. Chu Kuangren's expression was calm. Even though his limbs had been pierced, he did not seem to feel it and continued to walk forward. Surges of sword chi flew out from the darkness, and ferocious evil spirits crawled out, tearing at his body. Even the purgatory was no better than this. My heart is like a bright lamp. Wherever I go, there will be no darkness. Chu Kuangren's body was covered in wounds and blood as he said. In an instant, a boundless brilliance bloomed from his body, and countless wounds disappeared without a trace. The sword chi that flew towards him dispersed, and the thousands of evil spirits also melted. The endless darkness was lit up, and there was no more haze. Good. A chuckle came from the void. Then, Chu Kuangren's vision changed. Before he knew it, he had already walked to the foot of the immortal tree. In front of him was the pristine futon. Behind him, the immortals and immortal seeds were already stunned. He succeeded. He actually succeeded. He really made it there. My God, how strong is this person's Taoist core? His talent and strength are unparalleled, and now even his Taoist core is indestructible. This person is truly flawless. This person is a natural-born cultivator. The immortals initially thought that Chu Kuangren had shocked them enough, but this person had repeatedly refreshed their knowledge. This person was unfathomable, like a bottomless pit. Master, you're destined to stand at the peak of the immortal Tao. Lan Yu stared at Chu Kuangren's back with a fanatical gaze. The king is indeed the king. He easily achieved what we didn't even dare to think about. Yan Honghua was also in awe. All hail the king. The little fox only knew how to cheer. To her, Chu Kuangren was almost a synonym for omnipotent. I thought I've already overestimated him, but I still underestimated him, Gong Yu murmured. His Taoist core was far from hers. No one in the entire Qinglan immortal world could compare to him. Chapter 1005. Since I've arrived, aren't you all going to die? His casual words were mixed with an insufferably arrogant tone. That one sentence sealed the Bronze Heavenly Court's fate. Everyone's expression turned grim as they felt fear in their hearts. This was the first time they had encountered such a terrifying being in so many years. That kind of aura was something they could only look up to. Even the Grand Marshal, who had fought countless battles and was fearless in the face of danger, could not help but take a deep breath to suppress the fear in his heart. With a roar, a silver-white spear appeared in his hand, and the green armor on his body began to glow with light patterns. We still don't know who will be the winner. The Grand Marshal roared as he smashed his spear into the ground. Suddenly, as if some kind of mechanism was activated, countless Taoist patterns spread out and enveloped the entire Bronze Heavenly Court. The impure spiritual qi in the universe suddenly surged towards the Bronze Heavenly Court and merged with the Taoist patterns, forming 9 dragon silhouettes. The dragon's roar echoed throughout the realm. That's the great 9 dragons formation of the Bronze Heavenly Court. Among the spectators, someone could not help but exclaim. Rumor has it that the Bronze Heavenly Court has an unparalleled immortal formation, but no one has seen it for many years. I thought it was fake, but I can't believe that the Great Nine Dragons formation really exists. Such domineering aura is much stronger than that of ordinary immortals. How terrifying! The Bronze Heavenly Court truly lives up to its name. Its resources are extraordinary. Just this formation alone is far more powerful than the army of billions. Everyone was amazed. Meanwhile, the fox's forefather, Gu Xing, and the others could not help but feel worried. "Mister, will you be all right?" Gu Xing asked. Beside him, Gu Wuqing smiled. "I believe in you, mister. This Nine Dragons formation is nothing." Among everyone present, he was most familiar with Chu Kuangren's strength. The Great Nine Dragons formation would not help even if there were a few more of them. Inside the Bronze Heavenly Court, 9 pairs of majestic dragon eyes stared straight at Chu Kuangren, and a terrifying dragon's poise rushed towards Chu Kuangren. Even ordinary immortals could not help but tremble under such a powerful aura. However, Chu Kuangren remained as calm as ever. "I've slain quite a few true dragons, what more these few dragon silhouettes of yours?" He took a step forward, and his majestic immortal core gushed out like a torrent. Several dragon shadows bore the brunt of the attack and instantly exploded. As the controller of the formation, the Generalissimo felt the impact as well. He spat out a mouthful of blood, his face filled with shock. "How could this be? How can your strength be so terrifying?" The Grand Marshal was extremely shocked. Then, he pushed his power to its limit and the remaining few dragon silhouettes charged towards Chu Kuangren. Useless effort. Chu Kuangren's sword finger froze. A streak of purple sword light shot out. The remaining dragon shadows were engulfed by the sword light, and in an instant, they shattered into countless specks of light. The 9 dragon formation was defeated. The people of the Bronze Heavenly Court were all stunned. This strength was too unreasonable. What level has his cultivation reached? Oh my god! Judging from his aura, he is indeed an ordinary immortal like us, but what's with his combat strength? Even the strongest 9th stage immortal, the ruler of the Bronze Heavenly Court, didn't have such strength. This was simply too unimaginable. "You, who exactly are you?" "My Bronze Heavenly Court has no enmity with you, sir. Why are you targeting us?" The Grand Marshal's eyes were filled with uncontrollable fear. "I had a friendship with the ancient immortal, but you killed him. Tell me, don't you deserve to die?" Chu Kuangren said calmly. He focused his sword fingers, and the 1,000 lotus sword will flowed. Purple flowers bloomed in the air, looking extremely beautiful. However, it contained a bone-chilling killing intent. Just as Chu Kuangren was about to finish off the higher-ups of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court, a powerful immortal essence fluctuation suddenly appeared from afar. A pillar of light soared into the sky. Within the pillar of light, a dignified man in a golden robe slowly walked out, and the surrounding stars instantly trembled. "It's him, the master of the Bronze Imperial Court. He came out of seclusion. This aura, he has already reached the Earth Immortal Realm." Everyone sucked in a cold breath. How many years has it been? The Green Emperor Galaxy hadn't produced an Earth Immortal for many years. But now, an Earth Immortal had appeared in the Green Emperor Galaxy. Ha, the Master has finally come out of seclusion. Not only that, but our Lord has also broken through to the Earth Immortal Realm. With this, we'll definitely be able to destroy Chu Kuangren. "Chu Kuangren, you're dead meat." The crowd who had fallen into despair once again saw hope. They looked at the golden figure in the distance with a look of admiration. At that moment, the master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court suddenly opened his eyes. With a surge of his immortal consciousness, he saw everything that was happening. A cold ray of light shot out from his eyes as he looked at Chu Kuangren. "How dare you come to the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court? You're asking for death." With a lift of his arm, a majestic immortal essence surged. Not only that, but the surrounding stars also trembled, and a large amount of earth chi gushed out towards the master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court. The immortal essence and earth chi merged together to form a giant palm that covered the sky. Its power was so strong that it shook the entire void. The spectators gulped, shocked by that attack. Is this the combat strength of an earth immortal? It's terrifying indeed. So powerful. Compared to the crowd's shock, Chu Kuangren merely glanced at it and casually lifted his hand, unleashing the Thousand Lotus Sword intent. A purple sword ray swept out. Although it did not look as powerful as the master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court, that sword ray tore the giant palm in half like a hot knife through butter. What? The master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court, who was initially in high spirits, was shocked as he took out a defensive immortal weapon. With a bang, that immortal weapon was instantly shattered, and the master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court was swept away by the sword chi, smashing into a star. This scene made everyone's eyeballs pop out. How? How is this possible? Didn't the master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court break through to the Earth Immortal realm? Why is he so weak? Are Earth Immortals this weak? Everyone felt like their world was about to be refreshed. Only Gu Wuqing was not surprised by that scene. Were Earth Immortals strong? Yes, they were strong. Even in the Green Orchid Immortal realm, they would be considered a top-notch powerhouse. Even among the 7 crowns, only Jian Guan was an Earth Immortal. Unfortunately, the master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court was facing Chu Kuangren. You guys will never know what kind of existence you're facing. Gu Wuqing murmured as he looked at Chu Kuangren's back. His eyes were filled with admiration and yearning. Meanwhile, the master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court, who was sent flying by that sword ray, rushed out. This time, he took out an ancient talisman. Go to hell. The master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court roared and activated the ancient talisman. A scorching golden beam of light shot out and pierced through the void. The power of that attack was comparable to a middle-tier Earth Immortal. Oh! Chu Kuangren looked at the ancient talisman and was surprised. Then, the Descendant Self-Sword at his waist was unsheathed. As the Descendant Self-Sword was unsheathed, the Taoist patterns on its body intertwined, and a purple sword chi that could dim countless galaxies was unleashed. That sword attack stunned everyone. That sword attack toppled the universe and overturned the universe. That sword attack shattered the golden beam of light and killed the master of the Heavenly Court of Bronze Celestial Court who had just broken through to the Earth Immortal realm. It also completely extinguished the hope in the hearts of the Grand Marshal and the others. Chu Kuangren retrieved the Descendant Self-Sword and looked at the stunned Grand Marshal and the others. He said, "Your master is quite weak." Chapter 1006. Your master is quite weak. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Meanwhile, the Grand Marshal and the others who were already in a daze did not know what to say. They could only stare at Chu Kuangren blankly, their hearts filled with despair. Chu Kuangren raised his sword and slashed. In an instant, the Grand Marshal and the others perished on the spot. The Bronze Sky Court was completely destroyed. Chu Kuangren grabbed the air and the ancient talisman that the Bronze Sky Court ruler used earlier appeared in his hand. He looked at it carefully. Indeed, this ancient talisman is the Yang talisman of the ancient Yin-Yang talismans. Now all the ancient Yin-Yang talismans have been gathered. Then, he used his immortal consciousness to search the Bronze Sky Court. Most of them were useless to him, but he did not mind. He took them all and planned to bring them back to Firmament Star for the others to use. I'll leave the rest to you guys. Chu Kuangren said to Gu Wuqing and the others. Yes. Soon, the entire Bronze Sky Court was occupied by Gu Wuqing and the others. The other cultivators who came to watch the battle sighed. The Bronze Sky Court is gone just like that. Sigh, is this Chu Kuangren's strength? Terrifying. The cultivators left one by one. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren began to organize his loot from the Bronze Sky Court. Among them, the most commendable one was the Yang talisman. Unlike the Yin talisman, the Yang talisman focused on offense. This talisman could even allow the Bronze Sky Court ruler, who had just stepped into the Earth Immortal realm, to unleash a combat strength close to that of a middle-grade Earth Immortal. Besides the Yang talisman, there were also a few technique validation seals. When immortals created their own immortal techniques, they could obtain the technique validation seals. However, most immortals in the immortal realm had their own inheritances, so they rarely created their own immortal techniques. Creating immortal techniques was time-consuming and exhausting, and the immortal techniques they created might not even be as good as the inheritances. Most immortals would choose to learn the inheritances directly. Only a few would try to create their own immortal techniques. These people usually had great perseverance and were unwilling to fall behind their predecessors. For example, he created the Thousand Lotus Sword intent for the Sword Crown. As for the immortals in the universe, they were not in the immortal realm, so they did not have any immortal ancient inheritances. Most of their immortal techniques were self-created. Hence, many immortals had the technique validation seals. These testimony seals were very useful to Chu Kuangren. His descendant self-technique could absorb these testimony seals to strengthen itself. Give the Yang talismans to Gu Wuqing and let him gather the Yin Yang ancient talismans to find the Green Emperor Immortal's treasure. As for me, I'll first refine a few testimony seals into testimony Kunwu. Also, it's about time for my cultivation to make a breakthrough. Chu Kuangren muttered. He was now a stage 1 ordinary immortal, but recently, he felt that he had accumulated enough to advance to stage 2. At the thought of this, he handed over the task of searching for immortal Green Emperor's treasure to Gu Wuqing, while he went into seclusion in the Bronze Heavenly Court for a few days. Gu Wuqing accepted the mission. Since he had Chu Kuangren backing him up, he was not afraid of anyone in the Green Royal Galaxy. The battleships arrived at a part of the Green Emperor Galaxy. Here, it was a barren land. The planet floated without any signs of life. Meanwhile, Gu Wuqing walked out of the battlefield and took out the completed Yin Yang ancient talisman. The talisman vibrated and radiated as if it was resonating with the void in front of it. After searching for half a year, this place has the strongest resonance with the Yin Yang ancient talisman. The Green Emperor Immortal's treasure must be hidden in this part of the universe. Gu Wuqing said excitedly. Then, he tossed the ancient talisman into the air. The ancient talisman let out a beam of alternating black and white light that hit the void. Like a large rock being thrown into a lake, the void instantly rippled. A mysterious Taoist fluctuation swept out like a tidal wave, shaking half of the Green Royal Galaxy. All the major forces and orthodoxies reacted to it. This fluctuation is so terrifying. There's Yin and Yang will circulating. Could it be the legendary Green Emperor Immortal? It's the reappearance of the Yin Yang ancient talisman. Someone has found the Green Emperor Immortal's treasure. Is it the Gu family? The Gu family is now under Chu Kuangren's protection. Rumor has it that the Gu family has obtained the Yin talisman, and together with the Bronze Heavenly Court's Yang talisman, it's not impossible for them to find the Green Emperor Immortal's treasure with the Yin Yang ancient talisman. The Green Emperor Immortal was rumored to be the most powerful immortal in the Green Royal Galaxy. The treasure he left behind had always been the biggest mystery in the Green Royal Galaxy. For countless years, people had been searching for it. Now that the Green Emperor Immortal's treasure had appeared, not just the great orthodoxies. Even those who had been living in seclusion began to move towards the location of the ancient Yin Yang will. On an ancient planet. A white-haired old man looked towards the direction of the Yin Yang will with a glint in his eyes. The Green Emperor Immortal's treasure. Rumor has it that the Green Emperor Immortal was a true immortal-level being. The treasure he left behind must be very valuable. Perhaps it can help me break through to the Earth Immortal realm. He got up and flew towards the direction of the Yin Yang will. On the other side. A life star exploded with a loud rumble. A civilization was destroyed just like that. Billions of living beings perished in the explosion. An old man in a blood-red robe walked out of the explosion. His eyes shone with an evil glint. The old man opened his mouth and inhaled. The life energy of the billions of living beings that died in the explosion was sucked into his body. As a large amount of life energy entered his body, the old man, who was originally extremely skinny and looked like he had one foot in the grave, began to turn ruddy. His dry skin also became plump and smooth. Soon, the old man became a handsome young man. The blood-red-robed young man who had sucked the living planet dry looked into the distance and murmured, "The Green Emperor's treasure has appeared. There might be some celestial medicine that can extend my lifespan. This way, I won't have to suck the life energy of others to continue living." In order to continue living and pursue the great Tao, the blood-red-robed young man's eyes shone with determination. In another part of the starry sky. In a palace, many sword cultivators were gathered together. These people exuded a powerful sword will that was unstoppable. The person in the lead was a man in a green robe. This person was the sect leader of the Sky Wind Sword sect, the most famous sword orthodoxy in the Green Emperor Galaxy. He was also Zhao Wujing's elder brother. Rumor had it that the reason Zhao Wujing was known as the #1 sword cultivator in the Green Emperor Galaxy was largely because his elder brother did not want to compete with him. As for whether it was true or not, only the two of them knew. "My brother, I've told you before that the leader of the Heavenly Bronze Court is not suitable for you to assist, but you didn't listen. To prove that you're stronger than me, you joined the Heavenly Bronze Court, and now you've lost your life in vain." Sigh, the Sky Wind sect leader sighed, and a cold ray of light shot out from his eyes. "Chu Kuangren, I don't care who you are. You killed my brother while I was in closed-door meditation. I'll make you pay for this." A powerful sword will emanated from his body. The surrounding sword cultivators were speechless. Judging by this sword will, the sect leader must have ascended to the Earth Immortal realm. "The Green Emperor Immortal's treasure has appeared. Come with me to take it, then we'll kill Chu Kuangren." Yes. With the discovery of the treasure, every sage orthodoxy and hidden strong cultivators made their moves and headed towards the Green Emperor's treasure. Chapter 1007. In the vast universe, somewhere in the sky, a majestic palace appeared out of thin air. Countless Taoist patterns intertwined within the palace, and countless treasured lights circulated within. Extremely dense Taoist fluctuations emanated from the palace, making it much more majestic than the Heavenly Bronze Court. Not far away, Gu Wuqing and the others were pleasantly surprised when they saw the palace. "So this is the Green Emperor's treasure. Look, there are so many elixirs growing on that fake mountain. Not only that, but those two lion statues are made of immortal gold. TSK, this is amazing. We're rich now." Everyone was overjoyed. At that moment, several auras arrived. They were the cultivators who were attracted by the Green Emperor's treasure. Their eyes lit up when they saw the palace before them. "So this is the treasure left behind by the Green Emperor Immortal. This aura is extraordinary indeed. Ha, I'm taking it. No one can compete with me for this treasure. It's the Gu clan. Chu Kuangren isn't here. That's great. As long as he's not here, we'll have a chance." Some people also saw Gu Wuqing and the others. At first, they were very wary. However, when they scanned the crowd and realized that Chu Kuangren was not here, they breathed a sigh of relief. If Chu Kuangren were here, 99% of them would probably give up on the idea of competing for the treasure. Gu Wuqing frowned when he saw so many people coming. This is going to be troublesome. Although he was confident that no one would dare to touch them because of Chu Kuangren's influence, he was afraid that he would not be able to stop these people from competing for the treasure. Since ancient times, people had always been tempted by wealth. There were too many people who were willing to risk their lives for the treasure. Ha, it really is the Green Emperor's treasure. There are so many elixirs here. I can definitely extend my lifespan by a few more years. A loud laugh was heard as a handsome young man in a blood-red robe leaped into the air, his domineering and cold immortal aura exploding. Seeing this person, everyone revealed a fearful expression. It's him, the Blood Devourer Immortal. Rumor has it that this person has been famous for many years. He was severely injured during a battle with his enemies and entered the Heavenly Deterioration Stage 5 early. To extend his lifespan, he cultivated an evil technique that absorbs the life energy of others. And every time he uses it, it usually consumes the life energy of a star and billions of living beings. It was extremely terrifying. He's here too. Looks like it's for the immortal herb in the Green Emperor's treasure. As a true immortal's treasure, there would definitely be immortal medicines that could extend the lifespan of immortals. It can even help him get rid of the heavenly decay. Everyone discussed animatedly. After immortal blood devourer appeared, not far away, another white-haired old man walked through the air. This old man has the air of an immortal. Compared to the nauseating, sinister aura emanating from Blood Devourer Immortal could be said to be two extremes. Immortal Vast Wind. Another immortal whose name once shook the Green Emperor Galaxy. Looks like this treasure has attracted many hidden experts to come here. Apart from the hidden powerhouses, the other great orthodoxies arrived as well. Among them, the most eye-catching was a group of powerful sword cultivators. These sword cultivators were emanating a powerful sword intent. The strength of the green-robed swordsman's sword intent was far above that of Zhao Wujing in the past. Sky Wind Sword School. Brother Zhao Wujing. This sword intent, was the rumor true? The Sky Wind sect leader's sword Dao strength is even stronger than Zhao Wujing's. This aura, I'm afraid it's not weaker than the master of the Heavenly Bronze Court. No, it might even be stronger, an Earth Immortal. The arrival of the Sky Wind Sword School shocked many people. Especially the Sky Wind sect leader, whose sword intent was so powerful that many people guessed that his strength had reached the Earth Immortal realm. Are you people from the Gu clan? At that moment, the Sky Wind sect leader looked at Gu Wuqing and the others. So what if we are? Gu Wuqing's eyes revealed a hint of wariness. He sensed hostility from the other party. Gu Xing, the forefather of the fox demon, and Hu Sanyang were also on their guard. Since the Gu clan has submitted to Chu Kuangren, they should all die. The Sky Wind sect leader said. Then, he raised his hand and slashed at Gu Wuqing and the others. The sword qi circulated and tore through the air. Its power was so powerful that even an immortal like the forefather of the fox demon felt a great pressure, and his pupils shrank. At that moment, Gu Wuqing took a step forward and took out his ancient yin-yang talisman. The ancient yin talisman glowed, and the protective effect of the talisman was activated. A runic barrier instantly enveloped everyone. Boom! The sword qi collided with the runic barrier, causing ripples to form. Oh, so this is the ancient yin-yang talisman left behind by the Green Emperor Immortal? It's indeed impressive, the Sky Wind sect leader said. He pondered for a while and did not attack again. Then, he looked at the palace. Once I've obtained the treasure, I'll take your lives. The rest of the people also made their moves. One by one, they rushed towards the palace, but they were blocked by the barrier outside the palace, unable to enter. The treasure was right in front of them, so how could they give up? Everyone unleashed their immortal techniques on the barrier, but no matter how hard they tried, they could not move the barrier at all. D***mn it. D***mn it. The immortal herb is right in front of me, how can I be blocked here? The Blood Devourer Immortal's expression was extremely ugly. He unleashed a palm attack, and blood-colored energy surged like a flood. However, it was still useless. Beside him, the Sky Wind sect leader also made his move. With a slash of his sword, a dazzling sword ray shone brightly and landed on the barrier, causing a loud explosion. Everyone's eyes lit up, and they looked over hopefully. However, after the sword qi dissipated, the barrier was still undamaged. How could this be? Even the Sky Wind sect leader can't do anything about it. Everyone was disappointed. Then, the Blood Devourer Immortal seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Gu Wuqing and said coldly, this treasure was left behind by the Green Emperor Immortal, and the ancient yin-yang talisman was also left behind by him. Rumor has it that whoever obtains the ancient yin-yang talisman will obtain the treasure. In other words, only those with the ancient yin-yang talisman can enter. Hearing this, everyone felt that the Blood Devourer Immortal's words made sense. Sensing the malicious gazes around them, Gu Wuqing and the others' hearts skipped a beat, and they immediately felt that something was wrong. Hand over the ancient Yin-Yang talisman. The Blood Devourer Immortal was the first to make his move. He stretched out his hand, and his celestial core power turned into a huge blood-colored hand, which smashed onto the rune light shield. I wanted to get the treasure before dealing with you, but it seems that I have to kill you first. The Sky Wind sect leader said coldly, and he also made his move. The sword ray slashed out, causing the rune light shield to tremble continuously. Inside the rune light shield, the demonic fox forefather, Hu Sanyang, Gu Xing, and the others looked at each other with a determined look in their eyes. Wuqing, this rune light shield won't last long. We'll buy you some time, and you can enter the palace. With the protection of the barrier, you should be safe, Gu Xing said. Then, he and the demonic fox forefather rushed out, and their celestial core power erupted, aiming at the Sky Wind sect leader. You've overestimated yourself. However, the Sky Wind sect leader only smiled coldly. With a wave of his hand, a sword ray was unleashed, and the two of them were sent flying. This power caused their pupils to shrink and their faces to be filled with shock. You've really broken through to the Earth Immortal realm. I'll kill you too today and take the treasure. Then, I'll seek revenge from Chu Kuangren for killing my brother. The Sky Wind sect leader snorted coldly. At that moment, the void trembled, and the surrounding stars shook. An extremely cold voice suddenly sounded. Who do you want to seek revenge from? Chapter 1008. Who do you want to take revenge on? An indifferent voice was heard. Following that, a majestic domineering aura swept out from the void, and a white-robed figure walked out of it. That domineering aura made everyone's expression change. It's him. He's here. I knew this guy wouldn't miss out on this treasure. Everyone's eyes flashed, and some of the cultivators who were about to attack immediately retracted their auras. Only the Sky Wind sect leader looked at Chu Kuangren with a hint of battle intent in his eyes. Such a domineering aura is indeed extraordinary. The Blood Devourer Immortal's eyes also flashed. A Grade 2 Immortal. This aura far exceeds a Grade 2 Immortal. It must be a Grade 3 Immortal. However, they could only sense Chu Kuangren's cultivation level. As for his combat strength, it was not something that could be measured by one's cultivation level. This was especially true for the cultivators who had witnessed the battle between Chu Kuangren and the Bronze Heavenly Court. They knew very well how terrifying this person was. No matter what, I must get my hands on the immortal medicine in the Green Emperor's treasure. It doesn't matter who comes. A cold light shot out from the Blood Devourer Immortal's eyes as a small blood-red sword appeared in his hand. That small sword was an extremely powerful immortal sword. Once it was activated, even a top-tier 9th immortal would be killed. The only flaw was that this small sword could only be used once. Hence, the Blood Devourer Immortal had always kept it as his trump card. Rumor has it that Chu Kuangren could kill the Bronze Heavenly Court's ruler. His combat strength must be much stronger than his cultivation level. I'm no match for him. Only this blood sword refined from billions of living beings can kill him. It's not a waste to use it on you. The Blood Devourer Immortal secretly activated the small blood-red sword. In an instant, a blood-red stream of light streaked across the void and headed towards Chu Kuangren at a speed so fast that it seemed like it could travel through time. Oh! Chu Kuangren was surprised as he sensed something. He subconsciously pulled out the Descendant Self sword from his waist and slashed at the void. With a clang, the blood-red sword collided with the Descendant Self sword. After a burst of sparks, the blood-red sword was shattered. Meanwhile, the Descendant Self sword in Chu Kuangren's hand vibrated and buzzed. What? It was blocked. Immortal Blood Devourer's pupils constricted. Without saying anything else, he turned and fled into the distance, fleeing. How decisive. Unfortunately, the moment you made your move, the outcome was already decided, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The shadow of a dragon suddenly appeared in the void. The image of the dragon transformed into a scarlet rope that firmly bound the blood devourer immortal. Right after that, a streak of sword chi slashed across. Blood devourer immortal spat out a mouthful of blood. After that, Chu Kuangren put away the dragon-taming rope and looked at the sect leader of Skywind's sect. Who did you say you were going to seek revenge from? When he saw how Chu Kuangren killed the blood devourer immortal with ease, the Sky Wind sect's leader's gaze turned solemn. Your strength far exceeds your realm. However, he is not invincible. Sword cultivators, get into formation. As soon as he finished speaking, the swordsmen of the Sky Wind Sword sect rushed out. As they surrounded Chu Kuangren, the sword intent on their bodies circulated and resonated with each other. They formed an incomparably powerful sword formation. Endless sword chi. It filled the entire area. Chu Kuangren, come and take a look. Show me the power of the Heavenly Wind Sword Sect's Supreme Sword Formation. The sect leader of the Heavenly Wind Sword Sect shouted. And also stepped into the sword array. It resonated with the sword intent. Endless sword chi for him to use. Not to mention that he was already in the Earth Immortal realm. The strength that he had just displayed. It was incomparably terrifying. It was as if he could easily shatter the stars with just a wave of his hand. Come on, Chu Kuangren. Let me see what you've got. The Sky Wind sect's leader said proudly. With a turn of the immortal sword in his hand, a sword ray flashed, and a majestic sword chi that was millions of meters long slashed towards Chu Kuangren. That sword attack. It was so majestic that it shocked the universe. And that? It was just a casual sword attack from the Sky Wind sect's leader. Everyone was shocked by the strength that his opponent had displayed. At the same time, they were very curious. Could Chu Kuangren create another undefeatable legend? Chu Kuangren remained calm in the face of the majestic sword chi. He focused his sword fingers and unleashed the Thousand Lotus Sword intent. He then raised his sword and slashed out. Lotuses appeared out of thin air, and that majestic sword chi was easily dispelled by Chu Kuangren. It could not hurt him at all. Since you want to have a sword duel, have a taste of my sword. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. He then took a step forward. In an instant, his exquisite 9 orifices sword heart was activated, and the self-invincible origin energy within his body was instantly converted into sword Tao origin energy. At that moment, the sword cultivators in every living star within a radius of 1 billion kilometers seemed to have sensed something, and their expressions changed drastically. Their swords were trembling. It was as if they were trying to surrender. Whose sword Tao is this? It's so terrifying. By the heavens, is there such a sword immortal in the Green Emperor Galaxy? Countless sword cultivators could not help but be shocked. Outside the Green Emperor's treasure. Within the sword formation, the sword cultivators of the Sky Wind Sword sect could not help but gulp as they tried their best to control the swords in their hands. However, as the immortal physique fluctuations on Chu Kuangren's body grew stronger, so did the sword Tao that made all swords surrender. Finally, one of the sword cultivators could no longer control the swords in his hands. Whoosh, a sword flew out. 2 swords, 3 swords, 10 swords, 100 swords, 1,000 swords, millions of swords soared into the sky and circled above Chu Kuangren, their cries echoing throughout the starry sky. Having lost their swords, the sword intent of the Sky Wind Sword sect's sword cultivators was also suppressed. Naturally, the sword formation was also broken. Only the Sky Wind sect leader was still resisting with his sword intent, but his expression was extremely grim. Vaguely, there was a hint of fear in his eyes. This is my sword. Supremely powerful. Once the sword strikes, it reigns supreme in the universe. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. His voice echoed throughout the universe like an emperor of the sword, filled with endless majesty. No, this can't be. I've already broken through to the Earth Immortal realm. No matter how strong your sword Tao is, there's still a huge gap between our cultivation levels. You can't easily make up for it. The Sky Wind sect leader held on to his last glimmer of hope. With a long roar, his sword intent rose to its peak, and the immortal sword in his hand let out a buzzing sound. Sword art, tempest of the 9 heavens. With a slash of his sword, the sword chi was like a raging storm that swept across the 9 heavens. Chu Kuangren's sword finger froze, and it was as still as a mountain. The sword intent and the swords combined, and the surrounding swords formed a giant lotus that blocked the raging sword chi. Chu Kuangren stood in the midst of the countless swords with a calm expression. His white robe was still spotless, and he looked inviolable. Now, it's your turn to receive my sword. Chu Kuangren waved his hand. The swords followed the sword intent and turned into a mighty torrent of swords that carried Chu Kuangren's sword chi. The Sky Wind sect leader looked at the millions of swords that covered the sky. At that moment, he felt that he was incomparably small compared to the vastness of the world. In the blink of an eye, the Sky Wind sect leader was buried by the torrent of swords. He did not even have the time to scream before he turned into dust. The Sky Wind sect leader had fallen. Chu Kuangren waved his sleeves and retracted his immortal physique's fluctuations. The countless swords lost control of their sword intent and scattered in all directions. The surrounding cultivators were silent. They were shocked. Chapter 1009. With the fall of the Heavenly Wind sect leader, Chu Kuangren stood proudly in the void and swept his gaze across the crowd. Is there anyone else who wants to make a move? The surroundings were silent, only his words reverberating. Everyone admitted it. At this moment, Chu Kuangren was invincible in the Green Emperor Galaxy. No one could compete with him. Since no one has any objections, this Green Emperor's treasure belongs to us now, Chu Kuangren said. He looked at Gu Wuqing. Gu Wuqing understood and handed the Yinyang ancient talisman to him. After receiving the ancient talisman, Chu Kuangren walked straight towards the palace. The ancient talisman in his hand released a faint black and white light. Under the protection of the ancient talisman, the surrounding restrictive spells were useless to him. Not long after, Chu Kuangren walked into the palace. He began to search this place for treasures. He first came to a medicinal garden. There were all types of precious medicines and immortal medicines growing here. Chu Kuangren waved his hand and kept the immortal herb into his yin and yang ring. Suddenly, one particular herb field caught Chu Kuangren's attention. That medicinal field was growing in the midst of countless medicinal herbs, but after he collected most of the medicinal herbs in the medicinal field were revealed. Chu Kuangren glanced at it. There were actually many light yellow precious medicines growing there. Moreover, every single one of them was flowing with celestial radiance and was filled with the fluctuations of earth chi. This is the Earth Immortal Grass. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. In the outside world, Immortal Haofang instantly stared with bulging eyes. Earth, it's the Earth Immortal Grass. It's said that a single stalk can help a stage 9 immortal quickly break through to the Earth Immortal level. Although Immortal Haofang was very experienced and knowledgeable, when he saw the medicinal field filled with earthen immortal grass, he instantly found himself unable to remain calm. He had been stuck at the rank 9 immortal stage for a long time. If he could get an Earth Immortal herb, he would definitely be able to break through to the Earth Immortal stage quickly. This was something he had always dreamed of. There are at least 100 stalks of Earth Immortal herbs there. What if I ask Chu Kuangren for them? Will he give it to you? I was too naive. How precious is the Earth Immortal Grass? It's not something that can be casually given away. No matter how difficult it is, I have to try. Even if I have to pay a hefty price, I have to exchange it for an Earth Immortal herb. Immortal Vast Wind thought to himself. As for the others, they were also shocked by the depth of the Green Emperor's treasures. Inside the palace, Chu Kuangren was a little surprised too. Then, he put away the Earth Immortal Grass and headed towards his next destination. This time, he came to a place that looked like a workshop. As soon as he walked in, he felt a sense of heat. A ball of azure divine fire was burning in a furnace in the workshop. This is the azure sun divine flame of the divine flame list. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. This divine fire was ranked 50th on the divine fire list. Compared to the divine fires of the Ming cult, it was much more superior. Could he refine it? His phoenix flame's power would definitely increase by a large margin. Not bad, not bad. Chu Kuangren nodded in satisfaction. Then, he raised his hand to release the phoenix fire. He wrapped the azure sun divine fire seed and absorbed it into his body. Then, he looked around. There are shelves in this workshop. There were all kinds of weapons on it. And it wasn't an ordinary weapon. They were all rune weapons. Combining runes with weapon forging. It's the same method as the ancient yin-yang talisman. Chu Kuangren picked up a sword and examined it for a while. His eyes lit up. These are all immortal weapons. Although most of them were ordinary immortal weapons that were useless to him, he could use them to arm his own people. Everything else aside, Firmament Star was lacking immortal weapons. Other than the immortal weapons, Chu Kuangren also found a lot of crafting notes. These were the Green Emperor Immortal's notes. To Chu Kuangren, these notes were more precious than the immortal weapons and the Earth Immortal Grass. They were all knowledge. Knowledge was power. This was also very applicable in the world of immortal cultivators. Chu Kuangren waved his hand and put away all the immortal weapons, notes, and other things. He then continued to walk towards the next place. Immortal techniques, medicinal pills, immortal metals, Chu Kuangren walked through every corner of the palace. The rewards were so great that he had a smile on his face. Outside the palace, everyone was watching Chu Kuangren loot the treasures. They were so jealous that they almost went crazy, but there was nothing they could do. After all, strength was everything. They did not have the strength. Even if Chu Kuangren turned the palace upside down, they would not dare to say a word. After looting for 3 days and 3 nights, Chu Kuangren finally walked out of the palace with satisfaction and left with Gu Wuqing and the others. After they left, the restriction in the palace also dissipated. It seemed like there was no longer any meaning to it. Since the treasures were all taken, what was the point of leaving the seal behind? When everyone saw that the seal had disappeared, they immediately rushed into the palace and searched everywhere, hoping to find something that Chu Kuangren had missed. Unfortunately, Chu Kuangren did not leave behind a single immortal crystal. Even the 2 lion statues that were made of immortal metals at the entrance were taken away. The huge palace was empty, and there was not a single thing of value left. That goddamn Chu Kuangren is too ruthless. He really didn't leave anything for us. Too ruthless, too ruthless. The crowd was filled with grievances and resentment. Only when Chu Kuangren was no longer around did they dare to voice their complaints. Back at the Heavenly Bronze Court, Chu Kuangren took out a portion of the loot and handed it over to Gu Wuqing and the others for them to distribute. As for the rest, he planned to bring them back to Firmament Star. Regarding this, no one had any objections. After all, they had pledged their allegiance to Chu Kuangren, so they were considered half of Firmament Star's people. Moreover, without Chu Kuangren, they would not be able to obtain any treasures. Perhaps he would even lose his life. Wuqing, I have a pill recipe here. Find someone to help me collect the medicinal ingredients on it, Chu Kuangren said. On it was the pill recipe for the fairy emergence pill. Before returning to Firmament Star, he planned to refine a batch of fairy emergence pills. The Green Royal Galaxy was far more powerful than the Purple Gold Galaxy, so it would be easier to collect these medicinal ingredients. Yes, sir. Gu Wuqing nodded. Next, I'll go into closed-door meditation at the Eternal Star. Chu Kuangren looked at a distant Eternal Star. He suddenly remembered that his immortal stellar physique had not evolved for a long time. This was an opportunity. He wanted to absorb the Eternal Star and cultivate the immortal stellar physique to completion. Everyone was stunned. Going into closed-door meditation at the Eternal Star. What kind of cultivation method was that? However, since Chu Kuangren had said so, they did not have any objections. Sir, Immortal Hao Feng wishes to see you. At that moment, the forefather fox walked in and said. Immortal Hao Feng. Let him in. Yes. Not long after, the sage-like Immortal Hao Feng came before Chu Kuangren and greeted him with a fist salute. Greetings, Sir Chu. Brother Hao Feng, is there anything I can help you with? To be honest, I would like to exchange the Earth Immortal Herb with you. He took out an immortal weapon and said reluctantly. That immortal weapon was just an ordinary one. Its value was not even comparable to an Earth Immortal Herb. Immortal Hao Feng knew that too, so he said, Sir, if you have any other conditions, please tell me. Chu Kuangren glanced at him. He was very sincere. I can give you the Earth Immortal Herb, but I don't want anything from you. I want you to serve Firmament Star for 1,000 years. Chapter 1010. I want you to serve the Firmament Star for 1,000 years. Upon hearing these words, Immortal Hao Feng's face changed. This meant that she wanted him to submit to her. Immortals have a long lifespan. 1,000 years is but a snap of a finger. I think it's a very good deal to use this time to exchange for a chance to break through to the Earth Immortal Realm, Chu Kuangren continued. Upon hearing his words, Immortal Vast Wind pondered for a long time, then took a deep breath. If that's the case, I am willing to follow you, sir. Very well, you won't regret it. Chu Kuangren chuckled as he took out an Earth Immortal Herb and handed it to Immortal Hao Feng. It was not that Chu Kuangren had taken a liking to Immortal Hao Feng, but if Firmament Star wanted to develop, it would inevitably require manpower, especially immortals. This Immortal Hao Feng was not bad. After consuming the Earth Immortal Herb, he would definitely be able to break through to the Earth Immortal Realm. That would be enough to serve the Firmament Star. Immortal Vast Wind was stunned for a moment. He stared at the earthen immortal grass in his hand, puzzled. Sir, you're just going to give it to me like that? Aren't you afraid that I'll go back on my word after taking this Earth Immortal grass? Initially, he thought that he would have to make some contributions to Chu Kuangren first to express his sincerity before he could obtain the Earth Immortal Herb. He didn't expect to obtain it so easily. Chu Kuangren smirked at his words. If you doubt someone, don't use them. Trust me, if you dare to go back on your word, you won't be able to escape death no matter where you go. For some inexplicable reason, Immortal Hao Feng shuddered. He suddenly had the feeling that if he dared to go back on his word, there would be nowhere for him to hide, no matter how vast the universe was. Of course, he didn't have such a thought. I understand. Next. Chu Kuangren refined the divine green sun flame in the bronze heavenly court, which increased the power of his phoenix flames to the next level. Next, he arrived before a dazzling star. This star was only one of the dozen or so stars in the Green Emperor Galaxy. Among the countless stars in the universe, the scale was considered small. It was just a small star. But even so, this small star was still emitting seemingly endless heat and spiritual power. It radiated outwards continuously. Chu Kuangren could not help but lick his lips as he stared at the glowing giant fireball in front of him. A hint of greed appeared in his eyes. What a treasure! I'm going to devour you right now. As Chu Kuangren spoke, his figure turned into a stream of light and dashed into the star. Terrifying waves of fire instantly gushed forth. This power? Anyone below the immortal level would definitely die. However, Chu Kuangren did not care at all. Flowing sword intent. It isolated the waves of fire. As he went deeper and deeper into the star, Chu Kuangren estimated that the terrifying waves of fire were getting stronger and stronger. If an ordinary immortal was in his position, he would most likely be burnt to ashes. I'm really looking forward to absorbing this star. How strong will my physical body become? Chu Kuangren was a little excited. Not long after, and he went deep into the core of the star. He activated the star immortal body and absorbed the endless star energy into his body. an indescribable heat engulfed his entire body. At that moment, no matter how strong Chu Kuangren's physical body was, he still felt like he was about to melt. Good fellow. As expected of stellar energy. Keep swallowing. He didn't seem to mind at all. Not only did he not reduce the speed of absorption, he pushed the star immortal body and universal furnace body to the extreme. In any case, he had the undying body, so it wouldn't be a problem for him to put on an act. More than half a year passed just like that. However, the star energy seemed to be endless. Even though Chu Kuangren had been absorbing for half a year, the star did not seem to change at all. The star immortal body was still a long way from completion. However, Chu Kuangren was not discouraged. He could feel that his physical body was constantly getting stronger. As his physical body grew stronger, he could feel that the speed at which he absorbed the star's energy was also increasing. Another half a year passed. Compared to when Chu Kuangren first arrived, the star had shrunk visibly. Many civilizations and orthodoxies in the Green Emperor Galaxy had noticed this change and sent people to investigate. Something is absorbing the star's energy. That was the conclusion everyone came to after their investigation. In an instant, many cultivators were dumbfounded. The star was the energy source that sustained the development of civilizations. The amount of energy contained in it was unimaginably huge. Moreover, it was extremely violent. Even immortals would find it difficult to get close to it, let alone absorb it. What kind of person would be able to absorb the star's energy for their own use? Moreover, if that person had really absorbed all the star's energy, it would have a huge impact on the Green Emperor Galaxy. Although there was more than one star in the Green Emperor Galaxy, who could guarantee that the being that had absorbed the star's energy would not absorb the other stars as well? The star's energy is so majestic and terrifying. That being can probably only absorb a small portion of it. There's no way it can absorb all of it. Don't worry, everyone. Some cultivators voiced out their opinion. Hence, everyone decided to wait and see. However, the development of the situation was completely out of their expectations. Not only did the being in the star's absorption speed not slow down, but it was also getting faster and faster. Since the time everyone noticed the anomaly, the star had shrunk by a third. This made everyone feel a little terrified. What kind of being is that? Only Gu Wuqing, the forefather fox, and the others knew the whole story, and they were extremely shocked. Never would they have thought that Chu Kuangren's so-called closed-door meditation at the star was a closed-door meditation technique like this. It was to devour the star. Mr. is really capable of doing what others can't. His cultivation method is really too unique and unimaginable. Gu Wuqing could not help but let out a bitter laugh. Meanwhile, Immortal Hao Feng, who had finally broken through to the Earth Immortal realm after obtaining the Earth Immortal herb and going through closed-door meditation, was also shocked. He suddenly felt that following such an existence might be the biggest turning point in his life. Just when the entire Green Emperor Galaxy was worried about the star's anomaly, there was a sudden change in the star. On this day, a purple sword ray shot out from the star. That sword ray headed towards the heavenly bronze court. Many cultivators who were paying attention to the star's changes naturally saw that sword ray as well, and they all had a strange look on their faces. That was because they were very familiar with the sword ray's aura. This aura. It's Chu Kuangren. The one inside the star is Chu Kuangren. Oh my god, what the hell is this guy up to now? The identity of the being in the star had been revealed. Although everyone was surprised, they also felt that it was reasonable. After all, in the Green Emperor Galaxy, the only person who could do something as unbelievable as devouring a star was Chu Kuangren, an existence that could not be measured by common sense. Everyone was more curious about the sword ray that Chu Kuangren unleashed. The sword ray was like a rainbow. In a blink of an eye, it crossed hundreds of millions of miles and soon arrived at the heavenly bronze court. Gu Wuqing and the others who occupied the place also noticed the sword ray's arrival, and they looked at it curiously. The sword ray transformed into Chu Kuangren, who stood in the air and said, "The firmament star is in danger." Everyone, move out immediately and provide support as soon as possible. Chapter 10-11. Firmament was in danger. Everyone had to rush to their aid. The news shocked Gu Wuqing, Gu Xing, and the forefather fox because they knew very well what it meant. Firmament Star was Chu Kuangren's home planet. It was also where they would migrate to in the future. Everyone, hurry to Firmament Star. I wonder who dares to target Mr. Chu's home planet. They must be tired of living and have a death wish. We will not shirk away from Firmament Star when it's in danger. It's time to show off. Gu Wuqing and the others reorganized their men and boarded their warships, heading towards the Purple Gold Galaxy, Firmament Star. Fortunately, the Purple Gold Galaxy and the Green Royal Galaxy were not too far apart. They were only a few thousand light-years apart. It might be difficult for the Purple Gold Galaxy's cultivators to travel to the Green Royal Galaxy, but for the Green Royal Galaxy, which had a lot of advanced technology and even immortals, it was not a difficult task. The Green Royal Galaxy's most advanced warships were more than 10 times faster than the Purple Gold Galaxy's most advanced warships. While Gu Wuqing and the others were heading towards the Purple Gold Galaxy to support Firmament Star, Chu Kuangren was still in closed-door meditation in the star. He had reached the final juncture and was only one step away from completing the Starlight Immortal Physique. Besides that, the most important reason was that Firmament Star was not really in a desperate situation. Although there was a certain degree of danger, the 5 Affinities Divine Shadow Army that he left behind was enough to hold on until Gu Wuqing and the others arrived. As for those who dare to covet my Firmament Star, I don't care who they are. Once I'm out, I'll grind your bones into dust. Chu Kuangren's eyes flashed coldly. Then, he began to speed up his absorption of the star's energy. At this moment, in the Purple Gold Galaxy, thousands of light-years away. Firmament Star, in the Firmament Kingdom. The Sword Taoist Master, the Chaos Taoist Master, the Dharma Taoist Master, Luo Shui, and a group of cultivators whom Chu Kuangren was familiar with were gathered together. At this moment, their faces were filled with worry. The enemy this time is not the same as the Blood Tribe. They come from an immortal civilization that is much more powerful than the Blood Source planet. They might even be an immortal orthodoxy because they have immortals. The Myriad Laws Tao Lord said bitterly. Although the Firmament Star had grown much stronger over the years, and the Tao Lords present had all broken through to become great Tao Masters, and even heavenly Tao Masters, it was still wishful thinking for them to face an immortal. Immortality was the highest realm that countless cultivators in the Firmament Star pursued. In the eyes of many cultivators, that was the end of cultivation. And now, they were about to face an immortal. Does the king know what we're facing now? I think so. After all, that Zuantian Dao main puppet contained a strand of the king's consciousness, Elder Rin said. But even if the king returns, can he deal with the immortals? The Buddhist Taoist lord in the golden red kasaya said hesitantly. Although everyone at the scene had unparalleled confidence in Chu Kuangren, their opponent this time was an immortal. To them, that was the end of cultivation. It was the ultimate realm of a cultivator. Could Wang Zaiqiang face the ultimate? Yes. At this moment, a powerful voice rang out. Gu Linglong walked in. She looked at the crowd and said, "Haven't our husband created enough miracles? We should believe in him. Just now, the consciousness that he left behind told me that he would return as soon as possible. What we need to do now is to hold our ground. Protect the Firmament Star." She took a deep breath and looked into the sky. Our husband said that the immortals are not invincible. Moreover, we've all witnessed the combat strength of the 5 elemental divine shadow army that our husband left behind. If the 5 commanders join forces, they'll be able to fight against the immortals. At the mention of the 5 elemental divine shadow army, everyone's eyes lit up. This army that Chu Kuangren left behind was just too miraculous. They did not see how much they cultivated, but their cultivation levels kept increasing. Now, the 5 commanders of the 5 elemental divine shadow army were far more powerful than the Sky Lord. They could even fight against the legendary false immortals. When the 5 of them joined forces, no one in the Firmament Star could defeat them. The Firmament Star's ability to fight against the foreign visitors was largely due to the strength of the 5 elemental Divine Shadow Army. Besides the Divine Shadow Army, we still have a trump card, Gu Linglong said. The crowd could not help but feel curious. What trump card? Before Gu Linglong could say anything, a violent tremor suddenly came from beyond the sky. Then, the hateful parting heaven formation began to ripple. It was obvious that it had been attacked by an external force. The Heavenly Law sect is attacking again. The Dharma Taoist master's eyes turned cold. The Heavenly Law sect was the foreign enemy of the Firmament Star. Prepare to fight, Gu Linglong said solemnly. In the shortest time possible, she quickly arranged the manpower and combat strength. Then, she led her people and flew into the sky. On the Firmament Star, outside the hateful parting heaven formation, countless battleships stood in the sky, and countless cultivators hovered in the sky. On the leading battleship stood an old man in a gray robe. The old man's body shone with a brilliant celestial light. He was the commander of this army, and he was also the biggest threat that the Firmament Star was facing. An immortal. The old man, Immortal Ching Song, looked at Firmament Star with a strange glint in his eyes. Firmament Star doesn't even have any immortals, yet it can nurture such a powerful heavenly Tao. How strange. If I can conquer this Firmament Star and uncover its secrets, it'll definitely be beneficial to my advancement in the Heavenly Road sect. I might even be favored by the Kun Tian Taoist. Immortal Azure Pine thought to himself. He came from the Tian Dao sect, and the Tian Dao sect was one of the strongest powers in the universe. It ruled over countless galaxies and strengthened itself by absorbing the heavenly Daos of other planets with life. That was why it was called the Tian Dao sect. Celestial Green Pine was a celestial from Tian Dao sect's Kun Meridian. He roamed the universe to search for planets with life with potential for the Kun Meridian's Daozi. He would occupy them and let the Daozi absorb them to strengthen themselves. Now, he had his eyes on Firmament Star. It was a strange planet that possessed a powerful heavenly Tao, but its cultivators were extremely weak. It didn't even have any immortals. This made him very puzzled. Logically speaking, such a powerful heavenly Tao should have given birth to a few immortals over the long years. However, the Firmament Star did not. There must be something fishy going on here. It can't be that the heavenly Tao grew so quickly in just a few short years, right? Celestial Green Pine shook his head and smiled. This idea was too ridiculous. The Tian Dao sect was the orthodoxy that was the best at using the heavenly Tao in the universe. However, even they did not have such records. Once I conquer this planet, I must study the secrets behind it, Celestial Green Pine thought to himself. Lord Star Hunter, those people are here. Just then, a cultivator walked up to Celestial Green Pine and said. The Star Hunter leader was a position in the Tian Dao sect. It referred to the cultivators who specialized in searching for planets with life for the Tian Dao sect and invading the heavenly Tao. Celestial Green Pine was one of the Star Hunters. Alright, I understand. Celestial Green Pine looked at the Taoist masters who flew out from the Firmament Star. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. Last time, I didn't expect that army to be so powerful, so I suffered a small loss. This time, let's see who can stop me. Chapter 10-12. Gu Linglong, the Dharma Taoist master, the Chaos Taoist master, and the others rushed out of Firmament Star and looked at the warships in front of them with solemn expressions. Compared to the last time, the scale of this one is even bigger. It seems like this person is determined to take over Firmament Star. How can we let them get what they want? That's right, we won't allow it. The Dharma Taoist master and the others looked determined. Behind them, thousands of divine shadow soldiers lined up in a row. Their aura was overwhelming, and the aura of the 5 elements surrounded them, shaking the universe. The leader, the 5 elements commander, stared coldly at Immortal Azure Pine, a cold look in his eyes. Immortal Qing Song looked at the 5 elements divine shadow soldiers and exclaimed, "What a divine shadow army! A planet without even an immortal has such a mystical army. This planet has a lot of secrets." The more he thought about it, the more he wanted to take over Firmament Star and dig out all the secrets of this planet. He had a hunch that the Firmament Star would probably be the most memorable event in his life as a star hunter. Kill these stubborn people on the spot. Thinking of this, Immortal Qingsong could not wait any longer. He waved his hand, and the warships exploded with countless energy beams. Firmament Star also had warships that started to attack the enemy. In an instant, beams of light bloomed in the cold, dark universe. It was dazzling and dazzling. The cultivators from both sides also started to fight. After years of development, Firmament Star had many new Taoist masters. With the addition of the 5 elements divine shadow soldiers, although it was a bit of a stretch, they were able to resist Immortal Qing Song's attack. However, everyone knew that the key was Immortal Qing Song. He was the biggest threat. "This time, I want to see how you will survive this," Immortal Qing Song said coldly. Then, he took a step forward. Suddenly, a majestic immortal primary energy swept out, shaking the universe. This power made all the Taoist masters feel unparalleled pressure, and they felt like kneeling. Although they had experienced Immortal Qing Song's power before, they still felt an indescribable shock when they faced him again. This is an immortal. The Tao Master of Myriad Laws, the Tao Master of Chaos, and the others felt that a single strand of such power could easily kill them. At this moment, the 5 commanders of the 5 elements divine shadow army made their move. Form the 5 elements formation. All right. The 5 commanders each occupied a corner, and their bodies surged with origin energy. They were metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The power of the 5 elements circulated and intertwined in the void, forming a colorful 5 elements barrier that completely enveloped Immortal Qing Song. The boundless immortal elemental energy was also isolated by the barrier. The 5 elements divine shadow army was a deity-level army. This army was linked to Chu Kuangren's strength. As long as Chu Kuangren's strength increased, their strength would follow suit. Now that Chu Kuangren had ascended to become an immortal, the strength of the 5 elemental shadow army had also increased by leaps and bounds. Even the weakest among them had reached the level of a heavenly Tao Lord. Moreover, the 5 commanders had mastered origin energy, so their individual combat strength was comparable to a half-immortal's. When the 5 of them formed a formation, it was even more powerful. The 5 of you have almost the same cultivation level, and each of you cultivates one of the 5 elements. You have great teamwork, and your 5 elements formation is the most perfect I've ever seen. I'm really curious. Are you guys really from this tiny firmament star? Immortal Qing Song asked curiously. However, the 5 elements commanders did not answer him. Kill. Commander Sharp Gold snorted coldly. He raised his arm and gathered the metal origin energy, which turned into a sharp sword shadow and slashed down. Immortal Qing Song was as steady as a mountain. He attacked with his palm, and his immortal elemental energy immediately shattered the sword shadow, sending Commander Sharp Gold flying. The other 4 commanders also joined in the attack. The endless growth of wood, the aggressive and violent invasion of fire, the ever-changing changes of water, the steady and heavy earth, and the incisive sharpness of metal, the great formation of 5 elements was fully unleashed by them, and they attacked Immortal Qing Song ferociously. Terrifying energy waves exploded one after another. After a fierce battle, the 5 commanders used almost all of their skills. However, the Immortal Qing Song's power was unshakable, and they did not suffer much damage. I was careless last time, and that's why I lost to you guys. This time, even if you use all of your skills, you won't be able to hurt me. Immortal Qing Song sneered. The 5 elements commander's expressions became extremely solemn. The difference between an immortal and a lower immortal was indeed huge. As long as we're still standing, don't even think about setting foot on Firmament Star. Commander Sharp Gold said coldly. Protecting Firmament Star was the mission that Chu Kuangren had entrusted to them. In order to carry out this mission, they were willing to give up everything. Immortal Qing Song sneered when he heard that. As he raised his arm, a wooden sword suddenly appeared in his hand. Although it was a wooden longsword, it emanated an extremely horrifying aura that made one's heart tremble. It was an immortal weapon. How long do you think your 5 elements formation can last against my Yi wood sword? Immortal Qing Song said with a murderous intent. Oh, what if I join you? At that moment, a cold voice rang out. A beautiful figure stepped into the 5 elements formation. It was Gu Linglong. Queen. Queen, it's dangerous, leave now. Commander Sharp Gold and the others' expressions changed. Although Gu Linglong had improved a lot over the years and had reached the level of a heavenly lord with the help of various resources, even the 5 elements commanders were still a distance away from her, let alone someone like Immortal Qing Song. I know what I'm doing. Gu Linglong waved her hand and said. Immortal Qing Song could not help but sneer. Queen. Are you the one in charge of Firmament Star? A mere heavenly lord wants to turn the tables. You must be dreaming. That's not necessarily true. Deliberately mystifying. Speaking of which, if you are the Empress, then where is your king? Could it be that you are a coward? He's coming. Gu Linglong took out a wooden puppet. A puppet? Immortal Qing Song was stunned for a moment. However, he glanced at it and realized that the puppet was only at the level of a heavenly lord. It would not affect the battle at all. The 5 elements commanders, the Dharma Taoist master, and the others were confused too. They knew that it was a puppet left behind by Chu Kuangren and that it contained a trace of his consciousness. However, it was only a heavenly lord puppet. How could it be a match for Immortal Qing Song? Then, Gu Linglong once again did something that surprised everyone. She struck out with her palm and crushed the puppet fighter. Shatter the puppet? What are you doing? Immortal Qing Song frowned. Then, he stopped thinking and raised the Yi wood sword. It doesn't matter what you're doing now. Die. With a swing of the wooden sword, a majestic sword chi swept out. Anyone who was not an immortal would definitely die if they were hit by that sword. Queen. No. Everyone cried out in alarm, their faces filled with anxiety. At that moment, a terrifying force erupted from Gu Linglong's body and swept across the entire area like a raging storm. Gu Linglong raised her hand and pushed it out. It was the undefeatable technique, Heaven and Earth Reversal. Furthermore, the punch contained an incomparably powerful force of the heavenly Tao, completely shattering the sword chi that was slashing at him. The entire area fell silent. Everyone was dumbfounded. This aura, it's the king. Chapter 10:13. This aura, is that of a ruler? The entire battlefield fell silent. The Chaos Taoist Master, Sword Taoist Master, Luo Shui, and the others stared at Gu Linglong in a daze. It was as if they were looking at that indomitable ruler. That was their belief, their ruler. At that moment, Gu Linglong's eyes were calm and contained an unfathomable heavenly might that made Elder Pine Immortal's heart palpitate. Who are you? Elder Pine Immortal asked solemnly. Those who offend the firmament immortal shall die. Gu Linglong said in an indifferent tone. Her demeanor was exactly the same as Chu Kuangren's. In other words, Gu Linglong was Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren's consciousness was transferred from the Sky Lord Battle Puppet Master to Gu Linglong. He had borrowed her body to reappear. I don't care who you are or what tricks you're playing. With the cultivation base of this body, how are you going to resist the might of an immortal? Go to hell. Elder Pine Immortal made his move. He swung the wooden sword in his hand once again, and a terrifying sword chi engulfed and extended for hundreds of millions of meters. He did not hold back in this attack. Because of the intense sword chi, the 5 ways enchanted boundary around them trembled as if it would be destroyed in the next moment. However, Gu Linglong remained calm and fearless. She lifted her hand, and an even more terrifying heavenly Tao energy erupted along with the technique of invincibility that had been upgraded to an immortal technique. The tip of her fist swept across the starry sky and collided with the sword Qi. Although Gu Linglong had the technique of invincibility, her cultivation base was still far from an immortal's. However, the firmament star's heavenly Tao was not to be trifled with. Chu Kuangren had devoured other heavenly Taos many times, so the firmament star's heavenly Tao's strength had long reached a level that was comparable to an immortal's. Boom, 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 the tip of her fist and the sword Qi collided, causing the entire universe to tremble and the void to shatter. As Gu Linglong lifted her hand, a giant golden seal appeared out of thin air and smashed towards Elder Pine Immortal. It was the firmament star's human tribe's supreme treasure of fortune, the human ruler's seal. This item was closely related to the human tribe's luck. The stronger the firmament star's humans were, the more powerful the seal would be. After all these years of development, the might of the Man-King seal couldn't be mentioned in the same breath as it was in the past, and it wasn't even inferior to an immortal artifact. Immortal Qingsong raised his wooden sword and slashed out. With a clanging sound, the wooden sword collided with the man-ruler seal, causing a thunderous sound to ring out. The man-ruler seal flew out, but Immortal Qingsong was sent flying as well. The wooden sword in his hand trembled uncontrollably, and his arm went numb. What a formidable power of the heavenly Taos! Not to mention, this fate treasure. It's definitely not something that can be taken down in a short period of time. Furthermore, there's still the 5 elements grand formation. Those 5 captains are eyeing me like tigers watching their prey. If I continue to fight, I'm afraid it won't be good for me. Immortal Azure Pine thought to himself. Then, he coldly snorted, "Retreat." After receiving the order, the cultivators began to retreat. I'll let you guys go again today. The next time I come here will be the day I set foot in Firmament Star. Immortal Qingsong said coldly. With that, he broke open the 5 elements grand array and turned to leave. After the enemies left, the Sword Dao Master, the Chaos Dao Master, and the others walked over and looked at Gu Linglong in shock. You are, King? The Chaos Dao Master asked curiously. Gu Linglong nodded. Yes, the battle puppet's body can no longer withstand the full power of the heavenly Daos. That's why my consciousness is temporarily borrowing Linglong's body. However, I'm afraid it won't be long before my consciousness dissipates. Chu Kuangren's consciousness was left behind before he ascended to become an immortal, so its power was not that strong. Borrowing Linglong's body to activate the heavenly Dao's power had consumed most of it. Then what should we do next time the heavenly Dao sect attacks? Please advise, King, the Chaos Dao Master said. There's no need to worry. The people I've sent are already on their way. They'll be here soon. Before that, all of you shall guard the hateful sky formation and wait for reinforcements, Gu Linglong said. Then, she summoned the man-ruler seal and channeled the power of the heavenly Daos into it before throwing it into the hateful sky formation to stabilize it. After that, Chu Kuangren's consciousness slowly dissipated. The original Gu Linglong's consciousness returned to her physical body and said, My husband has given his orders. Let's go back and set up our defenses. All right. Everyone nodded and returned to Firmament Star. Meanwhile, Immortal Qingsong, who had just left, was so angry that his mouth twitched. Good, good. I didn't expect Firmament Star to have such a hidden power. What a surprise. As an immortal, he had been defeated time and time again on a planet without any immortals. This made him extremely angry. Immortal Qingsong took a deep breath and temporarily suppressed his anger. He then took out a communication crystal. Looks like I can only contact the nearby star hunters. Although I'm a little reluctant, this is the only way to quickly take down Firmament Star and study its secrets. A few months later, the army led by Immortal Qingsong met with another army. The leader of this army was a burly man with a domineering aura. He carried a saber on his back. Iron Saber Immortal, how have you been? Immortal Qingsong went up to greet him. Like him, this person was also an immortal from the Kun lineage of the Heavenly Tao sect, so they had a good relationship. He briefly told him about Firmament Star. Iron Saber Immortal could not help but be surprised. Oh, there's such a strange planet with life? This has piqued my interest. Yes, that's why I asked you to come. Let's take down this planet with life together and share its secrets. Immortal Ching Song said. Ha, alright. Iron Saber Immortal nodded. Come, you've come from afar. I've already prepared a banquet to welcome you. Let's go. The two of them chatted and laughed. They did not think much of Firmament Star. To them, Firmament Star did not have any immortals guarding it. How could it possibly be a match for two immortals? They would definitely be destroyed like withered twigs and rotten wood. After the two immortals finished their meeting, they led their respective armies and headed towards Firmament Star. When the larger army arrived, Gu Linglong, the Chaos Daoist Master, the Water Dao Sect Master, and the others were mentally prepared. However, when they saw the two immortals, they could not help but be shocked. Two immortals? That's right. What kind of strength does this Heavenly Law sect have? It's too scary. This Heavenly Law sect is probably one of the top orthodoxies in the universe. They actually have their eyes on Firmament Star. We're in trouble. Outside Firmament Star. The two immortals arrived together and ordered their warships to attack the hateful parting heaven formation outside Firmament Star. However, with the reinforcement of the human ruler's seal, the formation seemed to be impregnable. The attacks from the warships could not shake it at all. This Firmament Star is quite interesting. Iron Saber Immortal smiled faintly. He took a step forward into the void and unsheathed the long saber on his back. As soon as the long saber was in his hand, a cold saber aura exploded. Slash! As the saber slashed down, a huge saber shadow wrapped in immortal core waves shook the entire hateful parting heaven formation. The entire Firmament Star was shaken. Chapter 1014. Chu Kuangren had the time-space mirror, so he was an expert in the time-space Dao. However, he usually used the time-space Dao to travel, such as teleportation. He had never used it in battle. It was not that he could not use it, but he did not need it. After all, the opponents he faced could destroy everything in the same realm. There was no need for him to use the time-space Dao at all. However, it was quite effective in preventing others from escaping. After he used the time-space Dao to seal off the space, the Sky Prides felt like they were being crushed by billions of stars, unable to move. At the next moment, Chu Kuangren moved. He pointed his sword finger and activated his immortal core. Thousands of sword chi spread out like countless purple lotus petals with him as the center. The purple lotus bloomed, and the surroundings seemed to have turned into a sea of flowers. It was a beautiful scene. However, a tragic scene was unfolding right before their eyes. Wherever the sword chi passed, not even a blade of grass remained. One by one, the Sky Prides were torn apart by the sword chi and lost their lives. When Chu Kuangren retracted the time-space Dao, a large amount of blood mixed with broken limbs splattered everywhere, dyeing the ground red. Chu Kuangren had killed hundreds of Sky Prides with a single strike of his sword. All the spectators widened their eyes in horror. After all, many of those Sky Prides had already ascended into immortals. However, they were all killed by Chu Kuangren with a single strike of his sword. This included the chosen ones like Lin Yan and Yuan Su. A monster. This monster, everyone looked at Chu Kuangren and could not help but tremble. Chu Kuangren. I want you dead. A furious voice came from the void. One by one, the Earth Immortals rushed out and surrounded Chu Kuangren. They were the elders of the Lin family, Divine Dragon Island, Heaven Punisher Holy Gate, and other forces. Their chosen ones, their Sky Prides, were all dead. This was a huge blow to their orthodoxies. They were so heartbroken that their hearts were bleeding. They could not wait to skin Chu Kuangren alive. Shameless. You said that we should let the younger generation settle their battles, but why did you guys suddenly attack us? The first Mister of the Academy snorted coldly. Beside him, the elders of the Jade Pure Immortal School looked indifferent too. The Earth Immortals' expressions turned sour. However, a Crimson Dragon Immortal from the Divine Dragon Island said coldly, "This is different. Chu Kuangren is too cruel. His actions are infuriating. F*ck me." Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but curse at how shameless he was. When the Golden Dragon young master and the others tried to kill Lan Yu, why did Yan Honghua and the others not blame Chu Kuangren instead? As a person, oh no, as a dragon, this was too double standard. Ha! At that moment, Chu Kuangren chuckled. Looks like I didn't kill enough on the Godly Dragon Island, did I? As soon as he said that, Chu Kuangren took a step forward and arrived in front of the crimson-haired dragon sage. He then raised his hand and threw a punch at his opponent. The scarlet-haired dragon immortal roared and punched out as well. However, the moment the two fists collided, the scarlet-haired dragon immortal's face immediately became extremely frightened. An incomparably abundant power swept over, and the terrifying fist tore apart his dragon claw, smashing his entire body into pieces. Everyone only saw a bloody mist explode in the air. Chu Kuangren killed an Earth Immortal with a single punch. "Since you guys want to kill me, I don't mind killing you guys as well," Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Since he had returned, he would have to display his strength. He wanted to show everyone in the Azure Orchid Immortal Realm who was truly invincible. Who was the one who should not be provoked? He wanted the Azure Orchid Immortal Realm to tremble because of him. What? What a terrifying fist attack! The Earth Immortals' expressions changed. Then, without saying a word, they joined forces and attacked Chu Kuangren with all kinds of immortal techniques. The immortal techniques were dazzling and dazzling. All kinds of energy fluctuations erupted, and a large number of Taoist patterns intertwined. The entire void was dyed into a colorful ocean of energy. Chu Kuangren stood in the middle of this ocean of energy with an indifferent expression. "It's been a few years since I've returned. It's time for you guys to remember what kind of person I am," Chu Kuangren said indifferently. In the face of this ocean of energy, he stood tall and straight like an unshakable ancient godly mountain. The energy blasted onto his body and shattered it. His physical body was so strong that even an Earth Immortal would have a hard time destroying it. How could this be? Is Chu Kuangren really an immortal metal cultivator? Everyone's expression changed drastically, and their eyes were filled with fear. They had never even heard of such a powerful body. However, something even more shocking happened next. Chu Kuangren's aura was rising steadily. 3rd Grade Immortal, 5th Grade Immortal, 9th Grade Immortal, Earth Immortal. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. How is this possible? It's only been a few years, but he's already become an Earth Immortal from a newly ascended Immortal. This rate of improvement is impossible. It's impossible. One should know that it was difficult for ordinary Immortals to even ascend by 1 grade, let alone to ascend from an ordinary Immortal to an Earth Immortal. Even a genius swordsman like Jian Guan took tens of thousands of years to ascend to an Earth Immortal. However, Chu Kuangren had completed the transformation from an ordinary Immortal to an Earth Immortal in just a few years. However, his Earth Immortal aura did not stop there. On the contrary, the surrounding mountains and rivers trembled as the Earth Qi within hundreds of millions of miles gathered towards Chu Kuangren. 1st Grade Earth Immortal, 2nd Grade Earth Immortal, 3rd Grade Earth Immortal. In the end, Chu Kuangren's cultivation stopped at the 3rd Grade Earth Immortal Great Perfection, which was infinitely close to the 3rd Grade Earth Immortal realm. However, the Earth Qi that he was manipulating had far exceeded the range of Earth Qi that an ordinary 3rd Grade Earth Immortal could manipulate. All the Earth Immortals were dumbfounded. This extraordinary rate of improvement and the range of Earth Qi that exceeded the realm. What kind of existence was this person? "Everyone, hurry up and show us your trump cards," one of the Earth Immortals roared. Chu Kuangren's strength had made all the Earth Immortals present feel an unprecedented threat. One by one, they brought out their trump cards. Some used secret techniques to forcefully increase their cultivation, some armed themselves with immortal weapons, some used runes, and some used medicinal pills. However, do you think it'll work? Chu Kuangren's indifferent voice rang out. He raised his hand and demonic qi gushed out. White light flowed endlessly on his left hand while black flames burned on his right hand. Then, both of his palms joined together and formed a mysterious seal. Black and white, life and death, at that moment, merged and formed a huge Tai Chi diagram that slowly rotated and covered the sky. The yin-yang illustration of life and death. Chu Kuangren's cold voice rang out, and a vast and boundless energy erupted from within the Tai Chi diagram. One by one, the Earth Immortals who had used their trump cards exploded under this surge of energy. They were so insignificant that they could not even control their own lives. After the boundless energy dissipated, only silence was left. Everyone at the scene looked at Chu Kuangren, who was standing in the air like a god or a demon. They felt that everything was too surreal. He killed all the Sky Prides with a single slash, and all the Earth Immortals with a single move. Was this the kind of combat strength that a young Sky Pride should possess? He's back. He's back in the Green Orchid Immortal world. Some of the Sky Prides murmured, their eyes filled with shock. Chapter 10-15. There was dead silence in the immortal ancient ruins. Everyone was still in shock from Chu Kuangren killing the Sky Prides and Earth Immortals. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren had slowly retracted his will of life and death. His gaze swept across the battlefield, trying to retrieve the immortal realm's wills from Lin Yan and Yuan Su. However, he realized that the two immortal realms' wills had disappeared while he was killing the Earth Immortals. Oh, did someone take them when I wasn't paying attention? Chu Kuangren pondered. However, that was unlikely. With his current strength, even a heavenly immortal or even a true immortal would not be able to take something from him without him noticing. Golden Immortal. There were no true immortals in the Azure Orchid Immortal realm, let alone golden immortals. That would be a top-notch powerhouse in the entire universe. Then there was only one answer left. The immortal realm's will had disappeared on its own. Only the immortal realm's will could disappear without anyone noticing. Ha, interesting. You don't want me to take it? Immortal world will, are you trying to play hide and seek with me? Chu Kuangren chuckled. He then looked at Yuan Su and Lin Yan's corpse on the ground and shook his head. Destiny's children are nothing more than this. Out of the 7 Destiny's children, 3 were dead. Other than Yan Honghua, there were 3 left. I wonder what surprises the remaining Destiny's children can bring me, Chu Kuangren murmured. Then, he walked towards the light pillar of the immortal ancient ruins and collected all the opportunities of fortune and treasures into his yin and yang ring. And no one tried to stop him. They wanted to, but they needed the strength to do so. After that, Chu Kuangren looked at Lan Yu and the others. The will of life and death reappeared in his palm, and the yin-yang illustration of life and death appeared again. The illustration of life and death enveloped Lan Yu and the others. Everyone was stunned. Had Chu Kuangren gone crazy? Was he going to attack his own people? However, Lan Yu and the others were not wary at all. They trusted Chu Kuangren completely, but they were a little confused. Soon, their doubts were answered. Under the cover of the illustration of life and death, an endless stream of energy entered their bodies and quickly healed their injuries. The yin-yang illustration of life and death could control life and death. It could kill and save people at the same time. Its healing effect was much better than the spring breeze healing technique. When one comprehended this divine ability to the end, they could even reverse life and death. That was a truly unparalleled technique. Young master, welcome back. Lan Yu looked at Chu Kuangren excitedly. It was the same for the others. Yes, I'm back. Chu Kuangren smiled. By the way, mister, where is Gu Wuqing? Gu Lufang asked curiously. He came back with me, but I sensed the situation here, so I came here first. He should have returned to the academy. I see. Chu Kuangren chatted with the crowd for a while. Then, he looked at a woman in red not far away. It was the phoenix girl from Mount Wudong, Huang Yinghong. Among the prodigies from Mount Wudong and Divine Dragon Island, she was the only one who did not attack because of her past relationship with Chu Hong. Therefore, she survived. Now that she saw Chu Kuangren staring at her, she could not help but tremble in fear. Her face turned pale and her eyes were filled with terror. Chu Kuangren touched his face. Am I that scary? Everyone's lips twitched when they heard that. Don't you know whether you're scary or not? Don't you know who did this to all these corpses? Everyone roared in their hearts. However, some female cultivators could not help but be mesmerized by Chu Kuangren's handsome face. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I just have something here that you can bring back to Qingfeng. Chu Kuangren took out a jade scroll and threw it at her. Qingfeng, the green phoenix of Mount Wudong. Huang Yinghong caught the jade scroll and used her immortal consciousness to probe it. However, she realized that she could not pry into it. Obviously, Chu Kuangren had placed a restriction on the jade scroll. Only Qingfeng could open it. I'll bring it back to the young master. Goodbye. Huang Yinghong turned around and left. Chu Kuangren looked at her from behind with a playful smile. The seed has been planted. All that's left is to wait for it to bloom. That would be a flower of hatred. All right, it's time for us to leave. Chu Kuangren said to Lan Yu and the others. Since he had taken all the opportunities of fortune and treasures of the immortal ancient ruins, there was no point in staying any longer. Hence, he brought everyone back to the academy. Even after Chu Kuangren and the others left, the commotion did not stop. The news of Chu Kuangren's return swept across the entire Azure Orchid Immortal realm like a hurricane. What he did in the immortal ancient ruins and the combat strength he displayed shocked every cultivator. He killed 3 of the children of destiny in one go. Oh my god, how can this guy's strength be so terrifying? Is he even human? Monster, this guy must be a monster. The entire Azure Orchid Immortal realm was abuzz with discussions. Chu Kuangren's name became the focus of everyone's discussion. Once again, he was pushed to the forefront of the discussion. Almost everyone knew about him. Some of the immortal ancient orthodoxies were even more shocked. 3 children of destiny had died in one go. Not to mention that there were so many other sky prides. This was a huge blow to them. Isn't this the battle of destiny? Shouldn't this era be the stage for the children of destiny? Why would an anomaly like Chu Kuangren appear? Comparing a person like him to the younger generation was simply against the rules. This can't be played like this. The immortal ancient orthodoxies were so angry that they flipped the table. Meanwhile, in the distance, inside a blood-colored cave, a young monk shrouded in a blood-colored Buddhist light was sitting with his legs crossed. In front of him, hundreds and thousands of cultivators were kneeling before him. Their faces were filled with sincerity and fanaticism, as if they were worshippers who had just met their Buddha. Suddenly, a golden ray of light suddenly flew into the cave and landed in front of the young monk. There were countless intertwining Taoist patterns on it, making it look extremely mysterious. The young monk could not help but be surprised when he saw it. This is the immortal realm's will. Why is there another one? Could it be that I'm the celestial realm's chosen child of destiny? The young monk's eyes lit up. He then placed his hand on the golden ray of light, and a large amount of enlightenment surged into his mind, causing his aura to rise. At the same time, a series of scenes appeared in his mind. A white-robed figure slaying a sky pride with a sword in his hand. He killed a group of earth immortals with an invincible demonic aura. The young monk opened his eyes abruptly with a hint of shock. That's Chu Kuangren. He's so powerful. The worshippers looked at each other when they saw the young monk's expression. They did not know what had happened to make their god so shocked. Buddhist disciple, what happened? Ba. I saw an evil heretic that cannot be tolerated by the heavens and earth. The Buddha has instructed us to eliminate him. The Blood Buddha said calmly. What heretic? Chu Kuangren. Hiss, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It's him, That name was so legendary that they all knew it. Go and collect 1,000,000 more blood essences for me. I'm going into closed-door cultivation to eliminate this evil heretic as soon as possible. Yes, Buddhist disciple. Chapter 10:16. Are you all satisfied with this gift of mine? Chu Kuangren's voice echoed throughout the hall. Everyone from the Lin family trembled in anger and gritted their teeth. Not only did Chu Kuangren's sword attack destroy the entire Lin family's building, but it also injured countless Lin family disciples. Not only that, but the volcano that had turned into a swamp, the Lin family's precious cultivation ground, was also completely destroyed. Lin Zhaotian looked at Chu Kuangren. It was the first time in his life that he hated someone so much that he could not wait to devour Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren, die. With a roar, the Lin family and Chu Kuangren officially declared war. The first to attack was the Lin family's head, Lin Zhaotian. As a peak Earth immortal, his combat strength was extremely powerful. Divine fire surged around him, and the water vapor in the surroundings was immediately swept away. Then, he punched out. Boom! The void suddenly exploded. A ball of golden divine flames whizzed towards Chu Kuangren. Playing with fire, how can you be a match for the myriad flame essence? Chu Kuangren chuckled. With a lift of his arm, a crisp and clear phoenix cry was heard. The golden phoenix flame poured out and engulfed the oncoming divine flames. The two divine flames entangled, but the phoenix flame blasted out like a hot knife through butter. Lin Zhaotian's expression changed as he hurriedly dodged. The phoenix flame struck the Lin family's residence and exploded. Sparks flew everywhere, and some of the Lin family disciples could not dodge in time and were caught in the flames. Their bodies were instantly ignited. How could this happen? It's just a few sparks. No, some of the Lin family disciples tried to disperse the flames, but they did not have the strength to do so. The flames were like maggots that would not stop until the target was burned to ashes. This flame is burning sins. It's karmic fire. Lin Zhaotian immediately recognized the golden phoenix flame's characteristics and his expression changed. You've really refined the red lotus karmic fire. Chu Kuangren smirked. That's right. You can also call it the red lotus phoenix flame. He slowly descended from the sky. The moment the tip of his foot touched the ground of the Lin family, accompanied by the cry of a phoenix, a huge red lotus formed from red flames slowly bloomed. Accompanying the red lotus was the tyrannical red lotus phoenix fire. The flames were extremely ferocious, and in the blink of an eye, they covered half of the Lin family. Countless Lin family cultivators' expressions changed greatly as they dodged the phoenix fire's attack. Some of the cultivators who couldn't dodge in time tried to resist the phoenix fire's corrosion while consuming fire resistance pills. However, this was different from the time in the 10,000 Fire Valley. Back in the 10,000 Fire Valley, the red lotus karmic fire didn't have a master, so it couldn't unleash its full power. The fire immunity pill still had some effect. But now, the karmic fire of the red lotus had fused with the phoenix fire. How could a mere fire immunity pill have any effect on it? For a time, miserable shrieks rang out incessantly. One by one, the sins of the Lin family cultivators were burned by the red lotus phoenix fire. Their bodies, minds, and souls were turned into ashes. The spectators' expressions changed when they saw this. What a terrifying phoenix flame! To think that it can actually burn the sins. This power is too terrifying. Which cultivator hasn't taken a few lives before? This power of burning sins is just too terrifying. Indeed. The phoenix fire is the essence of all flames and is extremely powerful. Now that it's fused with the red lotus karmic fire, it's even more mysterious. The red lotus phoenix fire was a combination of the phoenix fire and the red lotus karmic fire. It was not on the current divine fire leaderboard. However, its power was rarely comparable to the top 10 divine fire leaderboard. D*MN it. Quick, activate the 1000 Mech Legion. Lin Zhaotian roared with a grim expression as he watched the Lin family disciples being slaughtered one by one. The ground of the Lin family began to tremble. One by one, figures rushed out from the ground. These figures were all battle puppets. Each of the battle puppets had the strength of a top-tier heavenly Tao master or even a half-immortal. Tens of thousands of them charged towards Chu Kuangren. The battle puppets were not living beings, so they didn't have any sins. Naturally, they weren't afraid of the red lotus phoenix fire's characteristic of burning sins. However, a bunch of battle puppets that aren't even immortals want to stop me? How foolish of you! Chu Kuangren sneered. Using his finger as a sword, he slashed across the void. The red lotus phoenix fire turned into a sword shadow and sliced the incoming battle puppets in half. Although Chu Kuangren did not burn his sins, his attack was still solid. The phoenix fire's attack was not something an ordinary battle puppet could withstand. Bang bang bang, one after another, the battle puppets were destroyed by Chu Kuangren. Set up the grand fire formation. Lin Zhaotian shouted. Several earth immortals rushed towards Chu Kuangren with him. They each took a position and activated their own divine fires to set up an incredibly powerful formation. The fire currents between the heavens and earth gathered towards them. Under the suppression of the formation, Chu Kuangren felt his own phoenix fire being suppressed. On the contrary, the attacks of Lin Zhaotian and the others were strengthened by the countless fire currents between the heavens and earth. Triple divine fire destruction. Sky-scorching fist. Lin Zhaotian and the others each activated their immortal techniques. With the help of the formation, they attacked Chu Kuangren with great power. Chu Kuangren was not afraid of being surrounded. He lifted his arm and activated his immortal consciousness, combining it with his immortal core. An ultimate defensive technique appeared once again. All techniques to the void. A whirlpool appeared around him and absorbed all the attacks. It did not hurt him at all. Then, the phoenix fire on his body retracted and the celestial demonic chi circulated around his body. White light shone from his left hand, endless creation. Black fire shone from his right hand, endless destruction. Chu Kuangren put his palms together and formed a mysterious seal. The yin-yang life and death will floated in the void and formed a spinning Tai Chi diagram. Chaotic celestial demonic art, yin-yang life and death diagram. When the diagram of life and death appeared, the entire grand fire formation shook violently. Several elders were the first to bear the brunt of the attack. Under the impact of the life and death will, they spat out blood and were sent flying. Their faces were pale as they looked at Chu Kuangren in horror. What a powerful combat strength. Isn't Chu Kuangren a little too unbelievably strong? The grand fire formation was broken, and the few elders of the Lin family were severely injured. Only Lin Zhaotian's body emitted a dazzling celestial light. A golden armor covered his body with Taoist patterns intertwining on it, vaguely forming the outline of a mysterious golden flame. This armor blocked most of the life and death will for Lin Zhaotian. Oh, this is a defensive immortal weapon. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. It's not over yet. Lin Zhaotian took out a medicinal pill and swallowed it. As soon as the pill entered his stomach, the energy on his body began to rise. It was infinitely close to the heavenly immortal realm. Fire God Avatar. Then, he let out a roar and the divine flame shot into the sky. The golden flames intertwined in the void and formed a huge flame giant. The flame giant was indomitable, and every move it made could shake the mountains and rivers. It was like a god that controlled the flames with unparalleled divine power. A divine immortal weapon, a medicinal pill that can quickly increase one's strength, and a powerful avatar. The immortal ancient families do have some tricks up their sleeves. However, if this is all you have, then you will still die today. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The next moment, a tyrannical energy fluctuation erupted from his body. He sat in the void with one hand pointing to the sky and the other pointing to the ground. He formed a mysterious seal with both hands, and it was a never-before-seen, domineering stance. Then I shall use my avatar to show you the power of the demonic Buddha Bushuan. Chapter 1017. Let me show you the power of the demonic Buddha Bushuan. Bushuan's avatar. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. He pointed one finger at the sky and the other at the ground. It was a domineering aura. Then, the immortal core power within his body transformed into a black Buddhist light that was mixed with desire. The Buddha light soared into the sky and turned into a four-armed Buddha in the void. It was the devil Buddha Bushuan from the ancient legends. When Bushuan's avatar appeared, demonic chi filled the air and Buddhist light shone brightly. Chu Kuangren was solemn and holy at the same time, yet he was also strange and evil. Two different auras flowed around his body and merged together, making people feel like they could not stop. Some of the female cultivators were mesmerized by him. However, most of the cultivators were dumbfounded. Even the immortal ancient orthodoxy's leaders could not help but be shocked and confused when they saw Chu Kuangren's aura. Chu Kuangren knows a Buddhist cultivation technique. Wait a minute, isn't this the technique that the blood Buddha child used before? How does he know it? And it's even more powerful than the blood Buddha child. Could it be that he learned blood Buddha's cultivation method in such a short time after killing him? How is that possible? Strange, this is too strange. Sword principle, fire principle, space-time principle, and now there's a Buddhist cultivation method. Isn't this a little too much? What's with his celestial core power? Most cultivators only walked one Dao. Even if there were cultivators who practiced multiple Daos, it was impossible for them to be proficient in all of them. This was because the immortal core power that a cultivator condensed was closely related to the Dao he walked. Using such immortal core power to activate other Daos was undoubtedly a waste of effort, and it might even backfire on the cultivator. However, no one could see this from Chu Kuangren. His immortal core power was too strange, as if it could be used in any Dao. Moreover, he had extraordinary attainments in many Daos. I don't care what kind of weird immortal core power or weird cultivation technique you cultivate. I'll kill you today to prevent any future troubles. Lin Zhaotian said loudly. Then, the fire god avatar behind him threw a punch at Chu Kuangren, and a terrifying godly fire surged out. Try me then. Chu Kuangren chuckled and activated the Paksan avatar behind him. A majestic black Buddhist light surged as he too struck out a punch. The two mighty Dharma idols collided. The powerful force caused the heavens and earth to shake. Break! Lin Zhaotian roared and activated the divine fire on his body. With the help of the Heaven Immortal artifact, he punched Bo Sun's avatar back. Chu Kuangren, my cultivation level is now very close to that of a heavenly immortal. With the support of my heavenly immortal weapon, you're no match for me. Lose for me. The form of the fire god brandished its fists, unleashing boundless divine flames. The boundless might was about to engulf Bo Sun. On the other side, the cultivators of the Lin family had also channeled their energies, took out their immortal weapons, and attacked Chu Kuangren with all sorts of techniques. A sky immortal artifact. It's the same. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Then, he took out an immortal artifact that looked like a Vajra scepter. It was the resentful Buddha demonic pestle that he had obtained in Jinshan Temple. With the demonic scepter in hand, the eyes of Bo Sun's avatar suddenly glowed with a demonic purple light, and the power of the black Buddhist light on its body skyrocketed. With a loud boom, the Lin family disciples were forced back by the Buddhist light. Their attacks were destroyed before they could even get close to Chu Kuangren. Not only that. The black Buddhist light spread in all directions like a boundless tide. Some of the Lin family disciples could not withstand the power of the Buddhist light and were instantly killed. Even the fire god's avatar was forced back. How could this be? Lin Zhaotian's expression changed, and he channeled the immortal essence within his body to its limit. However, the fire god's avatar was still no match for it. Boom, boom. Bo Sun's avatar unleashed a few punches, and each punch was powerful enough to shatter hundreds and thousands of stars. The fire god's avatar's body was shattered, and a large amount of fire energy escaped from it. It was on the verge of collapsing. At that moment, on top of a volcano in the distance. A terrifying surge of immortal essence surged into the sky, and the moisture in the air quickly evaporated. The river water that Chu Kuangren brought with him was quickly evaporated under this surge. The ground cracked, and it was as if everything within 1,000,000 miles had turned into a furnace. This aura. It's a heavenly immortal. Chu Kuangren squinted his eyes and looked at a volcano in the distance. That surge was coming from that volcano. The cultivators who were watching the battle from afar could not help but look solemn. It's a heavenly immortal, and the Lin family's forefather is ready to attack. A heavenly immortal's Taoist techniques are so powerful that they're on a completely different level compared to an earth immortal. Can Chu Kuangren handle such an existence? What a terrifying aura, magma spewed out from the volcano. It was as if the ground was enraged. You dare to cause trouble in my Lin family? You're asking for death, you little rascal. The Lin family's forefather's voice came from the mouth of the volcano. Chu Kuangren sneered when he heard that. Your Lin family has repeatedly offended me. I'm not just going to cause trouble, I'm going to destroy you all. As for you, an old fart, do you think you can stop me? As soon as he finished speaking, he threw the malevolent Buddhist staff in his hand. A dark light erupted from the staff as if it was going to devour everything around it. In an instant, it was thrown into the mouth of the volcano. Then, a horrified voice was heard. Self-destructing a heavenly immortal weapon. Lunatic. Accompanied by a deafening boom, a deep black devilish light poured out. With the volcano where the Lin family patriarch was at the center, the volcanoes within a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers were all enveloped by the devilish light and reduced to ashes. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw this scene. That was a heavenly immortal weapon. He self-destructed just like that. There was no hesitation at all. What kind of strategy was that? This guy is too decisive. Most cultivators would hide a heavenly immortal weapon carefully as a life-saving trump card. But this guy just self-destructed it. Oh my god, isn't this a little too much? What kind of strategy is that? Come to think of it, this isn't the first time Chu Kuangren did something like that. He self-destructed a heavenly immortal weapon at Godly Dragon Island too. Oh my god, are all his heavenly immortal weapons like cabbages? Many cultivators could not help but shiver. Chu Kuangren's self-destructing heavenly immortal weapons at the drop of a hat. No one in the entire Green Orchid immortal realm could stand it. It was too sick. Of course, Chu Kuangren was not aware of that. To him, things like heavenly immortal weapons were just tools. The right way to use them was to fully utilize their value. He already had the 9-continent cauldron with him, so why would he need a demonic scepter? Of course, it was to self-destruct. Ah! A loud scream came from the ruins. A disheveled figure dashed out. It was an old man with messy hair and bloodshot eyes. The armor he wore had become tattered, and there were many damaged Taoist patterns on his body. It was obvious that he had suffered quite a bit of damage. Yo, you're not dead yet. I bet that defensive heavenly immortal weapon saved you. But you don't look like you're in good shape either. Chu Kuangren looked at the old man, who was the Lin family's forefather, and chuckled. Chapter 10:18. So, are you begging me? Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Yes. Mountain Lord Huang took a deep breath and nodded. As a mythological beast, she would actually beg a human? If it was in the past, she would never have imagined such a thing. But now, she begged him, and she begged him willingly. This was because she knew very well that after this battle, Mount Wudong was extremely weak. It didn't even have a tenth of its original strength. Even she was heavily injured. At the very least, she wouldn't be able to use her full strength for the next 1,000 years. This was a fatal blow to Mount Wudong, and would definitely attract the other great powers that coveted Mount Wudong. Since ancient times, divine beasts had a great attraction to cultivators. Beast blood was used to refine pills and talismans. Beast bones, skin, and feathers were used to refine weapons. If one could capture a divine beast as a mount, it would be a matter of great honor. Therefore, Mount Wudong urgently needed an expert who could intimidate everyone to keep watch, to deter those who had ill intentions towards the divine beasts. That was the reason why she wanted Chu Hong to return to Wudong Mountain. Aside from her talent and potential, it was also because she had Chu Kuangren backing her up. With him around, who would dare to covet Wudong Mountain? I can't make the decision to let Lil Hong return to Mount Wudong. What do you think, Lil Hong? Chu Kuangren looked at Chu Hong and said. He left the decision to her to decide for herself. I want to be with Big Brother. Chu Hong did not hesitate at all. Yes, you heard it. Chu Hong, Mount Wudong has a secret manual that has been passed down since the immortal ancient era. It's suitable for pure-blooded divine phoenixes to cultivate. Apart from you, no one in the Qinglan immortal world is more suitable for this secret manual. Chu Hong was tempted. She was indeed lacking a cultivation technique for the divine phoenix. When she was at the divine phoenix mountain, she had been busy awakening her bloodline and had forgotten about this. Also, after you come back, we won't force you to do anything you don't want to do. You can also move freely. Seeing that Chu Hong was moved, Lord Huang Shan continued. Freedom of movement? What was the difference between this and not going back? Chu Hong blinked. Beside her, a strange look flashed across Chu Kuangren's eyes. He had already guessed what the Phoenix Mountain Chieftain's plan was. He wanted to use his name to protect Mount Wudong. Interesting. This, Chu Hong couldn't make up her mind. Upon seeing that, Chu Kuangren simply said, let's head to Wudong Mountain first. Hearing this, Mountain Lord Huang's eyes lit up. What he meant was, there was a chance. All right. Under the support of Huang Yinghong and Qing Feng, Huang Shan Lord prepared to return to Mount Wudong. Those who had surrendered earlier also ran back. Mountain Lord Huang didn't reject these people. After all, Wudong Mountain's vitality was greatly damaged and needed people to rebuild it. Of course, she secretly remembered these people in her heart. In the future, she would definitely not entrust them with important tasks. Mount Wudong. Mountain Lord Huang and the rest returned here. Looking at the familiar Wudong Mountain, everyone felt as though a lifetime had passed. They had lost too much in the Battle of the Dragon Phoenix. They even thought that they wouldn't be able to return. It's good to be back. Someone couldn't help but sigh. Everyone reorganized themselves. Then, Mountain Lord Huang brought Chu Hong and Chu Kuangren to a cave. This cave contained a large amount of fire energy. If an ordinary cultivator were to get close, they might even be burned to ashes. Only a fire-type divine beast like the phoenix could remain unscathed. Since Chu Kuangren had the red lotus phoenix fire, this bit of fire energy was naturally no problem for him. It was no different from a warm breeze. They walked into the cave, and it was surging with hot lava. This is the place where the Wudong Mountain's spiritual veins meet. Only the previous mountain chieftains can enter this place to cultivate. As Mountain Lord Huang spoke, she brought Chu Kuangren and Chu Hong to the deepest part of the cave. There was a red stone tablet. The stone tablet was engraved with countless mysterious scriptures. Oh, this is the secret manual you were talking about? That's right. Chu Kuangren looked at the inscription on the tablet and activated the all-knowing spirit, Xiao AI. Under his analysis, the stone tablet and the inscription's origin appeared one by one. 9 Nirvana Transformation Scripture. Chu Kuangren read out the secret manual's name. Chu Hong could not help but walk up and place her hand on the stone tablet. The stone tablet shook and began to resonate with Chu Hong's blood. Countless mysterious scriptures surged into her mind. Chu Hong immediately sat cross-legged and accepted the secret manual's inheritance. After a while, she woke up. What a mysterious immortal scripture. This immortal scripture is indeed very suitable for me to cultivate. Unfortunately, this is an incomplete version. Chu Hong shook her head and sighed. That's right, this 9 Nirvana Transformation scripture was not a complete version. It was incomplete and only had the first 5 transformations. As for the last 4 transformations, there were no records. This is at least an immortal scripture created by a Tao unification immortal, Chu Kuangren said emotionally. His comprehension was so strong that he had already memorized the entire 9 nirvana transformation scripture in his mind. He even had a rough understanding of it. Its level of mystery was no less than the Tushan scripture and the Jade Lake immortal scripture. Wudong Mountain's previous mountain chieftains have all studied this 9 nirvana transformation scripture. Unfortunately, no matter how thoroughly they understood it, they could not cultivate this immortal scripture. This is specially prepared for pure-blooded godly phoenixes. Mountain Chieftain Huang looked at Chu Hong and said, "This immortal scripture had a total of 9 transformations. The first transformation could only be cultivated by pure-blooded godly phoenixes, and the second transformation could only be cultivated by twice-awakened godly phoenixes. Similarly, the 9th transformation could only be cultivated by godly phoenixes who had experienced 9 bloodline awakenings. The conditions were too harsh. For so many years, Wudong Mountain had not even produced a single pure-blooded godly phoenix, let alone a godly phoenix with 9 bloodline awakenings. Even in the complete immortal realm, there were only a handful of divine beasts with 7 bloodline awakenings. You've all seen this 9 nirvana transformation scripture. What do you think of my request, Mr. Chu?" Mountain Chieftain Huang looked at Chu Kuangren and said, "Aren't you afraid that we won't agree if you give us the 9 nirvana transformation scripture first?" Chu Kuangren said, "Whether Mr. Chu agrees or not, I plan to give this 9 nirvana transformation scripture to Chu Hong because she's the only pure-blooded godly phoenix that Wudong Mountain has produced in so many years," Mountain Chieftain Huang said. "Ha, you're quite sincere." Chu Kuangren chuckled. Then, he looked at Chu Hong. "Lil Red, are you willing to be this phoenix lady and inherit Wudong Mountain?" "I'll listen to you, but I want to stay by your side." "All right." Chu Kuangren nodded and then looked at Mountain Chieftain Huang. "Lil Red can continue to be Wudong Mountain's phoenix lady, but she'll stay by my side and won't be under Wudong Mountain's control. Of course, you can also use my name to protect Wudong Mountain." When Chu Kuangren said the last sentence, Mountain Chieftain Huang heaved a sigh of relief. That was what she wanted the most. Then, she came to her senses. It turned out that Chu Kuangren had seen through all her plans. "Thank you, Mr. Chu," Mountain Chieftain Huang said solemnly. "You don't have to thank me. Strictly speaking, this is just a deal. I'll help Lil Red obtain the 9 nirvana transformation scripture, and all of you will live under my protection," Chu Kuangren said. "I sincerely hope that Chu Hong can return." Mountain Chieftain Huang said sincerely. Chu Kuangren glanced at her and said, "We'll see." Mountain Chieftain Huang nodded. She knew that Chu Kuangren had some complaints about Wudong Mountain due to the previous marriage. That grudge could not be erased in a short period of time.